Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host. Do y'all mean a revolution and things get worse for the hip-hop boule billionaires? Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Well, you know, it's just a great news day. Because, I mean, I could have went any way. I could have said, hey, it's a lot going on in the Middle East. Putin just devastated Ukraine last night, World War III. I said, I don't want to scare them too much. Let's back up from letting them know they couldn't wake up. They might not wake up tomorrow. Then I say, whoa, well, I heard the drones, salute. You know, the drones was just shooting back. The drones were spraying chemicals. They've been busted doing that. But I say, I don't want to scare them too much today. I'll give them that in the morning. So I decided to deal with the disgusting perverts, the black boule. Y'all can never get enough of that, you know. These disgusting allegations, these new allegations with P. Diddy, we're not shocked. Salute. Now, Slim Thug, I know you in there too, Slim Thug. I know you in the building tonight. I know your ass very upset that disgusting punks is getting exposed, Slim Thug. I know what you did at Kappa Beach, too, Thugger. I'm not going to lie. I know what you did at Kappa Beach. You need to lawyer up, brother. But stop, Coach. Stop. P. Diddy, you disgusting punk. I dare you date rape 3 or 4 new young men. Let's get into this, y'all. I know what happened to Meek Mill, too. Meek is a victim. Y'all not laugh. Don't laugh at Meek.
Combs' attorneys calling the new accusation.
Slim Thug, I know your ass is shaking, boy.
3 new male accusers now say Sean Diddy Combs sexually assaulted them, according to civil lawsuits filed today in New York. The lawsuits filed anonymously allege a pattern of conduct similar to what other Combs accusers have alleged, saying that Combs would invite them for a meeting, they would have a drink, get woozy, and then wake up to Combs raping them.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. And I know Slim Thug saying that's a lie. That's a lie. Everybody after they money. Yes. As long as Slim Thug keep championing these niggas, I'm going to keep dragging them into this shit, nigga, because I can and he going to do nothing about it. P. Diddy is all wording men? Oh, they lying. They just want his money. No, it seemed like he just wanted they butt.
Combs' attorneys calling the new accusations lies, denying Combs ever sexually assaulted anyone.
Yeah, right.
Our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, joins us now for more. So tell us about these new civil lawsuits that have been filed. And is this the first time that the accusers have actually been men? I mean, we did hear from one accuser in the past couple of weeks, right, Aaron? So it seems like more men are coming forward.
These aren't the first men to accuse Sean Combs of sexual assault, but they are.
P. Diddy already lost a $100 million lawsuit to a man that's locked up in prison. Man that's locked up in prison that say he was having an orgy with P. Diddy and some females. And next thing you know, he passed out. And next thing you know, he woke up and P. Diddy looked at him. This in the court papers, y'all. I'm not the one saying this. P. Diddy looked at him when he woke up. That's not funny. It said, and he said he woke up and P. Diddy was having sex with a woman, and P. Diddy looked at him and said, I just did to you what I'm doing to her. That's in court documents, man.
Are coming forward as a trio filed by a plaintiff's attorney named Thomas Giuffre, who says he had more than 60 people come to him to ask about suing Sean Combs, and he only filed these 3 that he says he was able to vet. He says they followed a pattern of people coming into Sean Combs's orbit in one way or another, being plied with a spiked alcoholic drink, and then waking up to having Combs sexually assault them. Now, Combs, as you mentioned, Kira, has denied sexually assaulting anyone, has called these new accusers liars. One of the men worked for Combs, and he says that he went to a meeting arranged at a hotel where Combs was saying to talk about some kind of monetary payment.
Puff be wanting to party. You got to tell him no. What did Cat Williams say?
meant for jobs that he never got paid for. That's when he says he was attacked.
We will follow all the details and all the investigations because they don't seem to be going away.
This dude, the biggest sexual deviant the world done ever known. That's serious business, man. It's gonna take people time to wrap their head around it, man. That man is and this is the monster that they made. The Greek freaks, his fraternity brothers. They turned this man into an animal, bro. And all this shit is true. I don't want to hear shit. I don't give a damn when nobody's the white man ain't making this up.
Let's start with their stories, their accusations. What do they say happened to them?
Well, they're basically similar stories, different scenarios, but one was work for Diddy, doing errands, basically acting as a gopher, and Diddy owed him money, and he sought out to get repaid for the money he was owed. Diddy told him to come to the Intercontinental Hotel in Manhattan for a meeting. He went to the meeting. Diddy offered him a drink. He took the drink and he started feeling woozy, losing control of his body, and he becomes unconscious. And then he wakes to Diddy raping him. That's one. One gentleman met Diddy and his entourage at a nightclub here in the city. He was invited back to an after party at at a hotel here in the city, and he was offered a drink. Same scenario. He started losing control of his body, his functions, and he passed out and woke to being raped. Third person was invited to a party in the Hamptons. I want to be clear, it was not a white party, it was just a party in the Hamptons. And it was a similar story, but he was raped by multiple people, including Diddy. Those are what they've told me.
As I mentioned a moment ago, there are a lot of people coming forward. Your clients, the question many will ask is why now, years later? Is it because so many others are coming forward?
Well, I think I've been involved in these litigations for a long time. The Weinstein litigation was one of the more prominent ones I've had that would be known nationally. And I think the difference between and the Weinstein case is the fear factor, because all three of my clients were threatened with physical harm if they disclosed. In Weinstein, it was just the fear of being exposed as a victim of rape. So it was a different kind of situation, in that there was the normal fear you get if you're a victim of a sexual assault, and then there's also the threats, which frankly my clients felt were very real.
Who threatened them?
Well, some of his handlers. Diddy, after one of them basically told my client, "Don't be an idiot. If you go to the police, they won't believe you. I'm Diddy. I've got lawyers," that kind of thing. The other ones were given threats to keep their mouths shut. And look, I'm not in that world. I'm not in that community. I don't know who his associates are, but my clients took them to be very real threats. Once people came forward, there's strength in numbers, right? So they felt a little more comfortable that they wouldn't be totally vulnerable, which is how they felt before.
So in addition to the threats, were they ever offered to be paid off to stay quiet?
Well, one of my clients, after he was raped and he was recorded being raped, it's this very similar pattern. You come out of this and you're in the middle of something you totally are not expecting, and they hustle you out the door of the end. In this case, they hand him an envelope with $2,500 in cash and told him to keep his mouth shut if he knows what's good for him, in some substance.
Okay. Does he still have that note?
No, he didn't get a note. He got an envelope with money in it.
Oh, and then told to keep your mouth shut. You said recorded it. You don't mean record in the sense of a camera, record it in the sense of their mind or recalling it?
Well, no. What I'm saying is when he was assaulted, there were people recording the assault.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You say these stories are credible. I know a lot of people have come to you with similar stories. Why these three? What convinced you?
Well, I've been doing this is my 30th year as a lawyer. I've handled these cases for a very long time. I've tried over 150 cases. I can assess credibility, believability, because in any kind of abuse case, it comes down to credibility. And if the story doesn't make sense, if the person doesn't make sense, if it doesn't fall to a pattern that's known, if they can identify, for example, the person who was assaulted in the Hamptons house was able to identify the house perfectly. It was uncanny. So you could know that those basic facts are there and they're credible facts, because without the credibility, you can't put your name on a complaint and say, look, I believe this is true, because you have to have good faith as a lawyer before you bring an action like this and claim somebody of abuse.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the
white nose men over spiking a punch and then taking a butt. The allegations about the diddler, you know, telling them, shut up, you know who I am? This ain't funny. The sexual assault is not funny. So, you know, but this nigga Diddy is a supreme monster.
The attorney for these three that I just detailed is Thomas Giuffre, and he joins me now. Counsel, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Chris. Nice to see you again.
You've been doing this a long time.
Yep.
I know you by reputation.
Correct.
You are not known as a shyster lawyer.
The Usher, Bieber, Meek Mill, all them boys know they woke up and Diddy was taking advantage of them. They know that.
Who's chasing the check.
No.
First, give us some context. How many cases have you seen in your life of allegations of men saying that they were drugged and raped?
Very few. I have seen less than 10. But here's a fact. 9% of all rapes in the United States of America are men. 9%.
So it's low. And that's only what we know about because, again, culturally, nobody wants to come forward. Women don't want to be shamed by the process.
Right.
Men have even additional layers of some perceived shame. So why did you believe in these cases and why didn't you believe in others that you were presented with?
Well, the thing with a sexual abuser, is they follow a pattern. They fall to type and you become very clear on what that pattern is, particularly a serial sexual abuser. And these cases were all identical in the facts, identical in the story. It was beginning, middle, conclusion.
They know each other?
Boom. None of them knew each other.
Did you have them meet?
No.
Did you have them coordinate stories?
No.
Do you think they had any contact with each other before they came to you?
Absolutely not.
And when you were talking to them, well, first, the ones that you didn't take, why not?
Stories didn't make sense. Stories didn't fit the pattern. Stories were not credible. I mean, this is my 30th year as a lawyer. I've tried over 100 cases. I can assess whether somebody's story is credible. And if I don't prove it, I'm not going to put my name on a pleading, sign it, and file it in court. I'm not doing that. And that's what I did with the 60 plus cases that I rejected.
And this is not really your area of expertise. If people look you up, celebrity lawsuits is not really where you make your bones. Why this?
Well, I was involved in the Weinstein litigation. Right. I was involved in the Paducah litigation. I was involved in the Hayden litigation. Why did I do this? I do this because it's important. I think it's important for people to be heard, have their chance to get the power back. Because sexual abuse, sexual assault is about one thing: taking power, humiliating, demeaning a person and a victim. It has nothing to do with sex. And so I think it's important. I think it's important to get the word out. I think it's important for men to feel, hey, look, I can come out and be heard just like a woman could.
And the defense that, look, they knew what they were getting into. These are regrets. They went there, they partied, and now they see a pocket.
No, I don't think so. My client
Were they gay men?
One was bisexual, the other ones were not. And they were going there. The client was bisexual, worked for Diddy. Diddy owed him money for doing errands for him and being his step and fetch, for lack of a better word. And I think it was a power move. It was a clear power move because this guy had the nerve to come to him and say, you owe me money. And so Diddy said, come on to the Intercontinental Hotel. He gives him the drug, knocks him out, sodomizes him. And I won't use the term that my client used, but he said he tried to turn me into his B word. And I think it was a clear power move on each and every occasion. I think the ones that took place in the Park Hyatt, that wasn't partying. My client met him at a nightclub in the city here with a music producer. He didn't think he was getting into that. The man who was raped in the Hamptons, he thought he was going to a white party. Who wouldn't want to go to a white party? I would have gone to a white party back in the day. I wouldn't go now, but they went there innocently, and this is what happened to them.
I never went. I appreciate you very much. We will follow the cases through the duration.
All right, nice to see you,
as
Chris.
things come out, you'll be welcome counsel to make the case
Alrighty.
as it's countered. Tom Gifford, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Nice.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if your name is Sean Diddy Combs, you have finally given up. You guys, so much is happening right now with Diddy and Jay-Z. And listen, there is a storm coming, and Diddy has decided to give up his dumb appeal request and actually focus on getting a pardon, or at the very least getting in front of this story that is coming. Now listen, you guys, I can't say too much about this, but there is a storm brewing, and it's bigger than Diddy, and it is going to suck in some of your faves. The funny thing is, I think they actually know the storm is coming, but let's talk about Diddy's bail. Okay, if you guys don't know, he has officially denied his appeal. The appeal was going to go up to the Second Circuit. Let me just say this about appeals, right? A lot of people say when, oh my God, I want an appeal, I demand an appeal. A lot of people somehow think that that means that you can retry the case. That's not what an appeal is. What you do is when you go to an appeal, the judge's determination of fact is not up for question. Okay? I'm sorry. The jury's determination of fact is not up for question. In this case, because it hasn't gone in front of a jury, it's all pretrial, the judge's determination on what he thinks fact is, it's not up to be, nobody's going to overturn that. No other judge is going to argue. Appeals at this point are purely procedural, meaning that you apply everything to the letter of the law, that you follow proper procedure. If you didn't, then it goes back down, right? Or the judge's ruling is overturned. Now, here's the thing. Mark Akinfili and Diddy have been playing dirty. Even that dumb emergency hearing on evidence that didn't exist. Yeah, we're talking about his private notes, his to-do list that he tried to pass off as legal notes as a way to say that the prosecution was overstepping and he deserved to be freed. Yeah, the funny thing is, Judge Aaron has not let that go, as the courts shouldn't. And the thing is, Diddy, it was refusing to hand over evidence to the filter team. The filter team are the ones that look at it between both places. It's completely confidential to make sure that nobody's rights are violated. The thing is, Diddy's appeal was a losing. Mark Agnifilio, Yana, he knew it wasn't going to get through. Diddy didn't. Yeah, if you're desperate, it's all you can do. And Diddy got the money, but there's a new storm coming, and Diddy needs to keep all his coins. I mean, let's be real. Justin, his son, literally is being sued for literally parking a car in the garage while the actual car company is asking for it back. I mean, if those aren't broke antics, I don't know what is. Anyway, let's get into the fact that Diddy has admitted defeat. He has admitted defeat, and he has decided that and when I say he has decided that he'll stop whining and sit there and take his punishment for acting a fool. He will remain in jail until the 25th of May, where his trial is. Now, interestingly enough, the feds have a 99% conviction rate, judging by the fact that, by all intents, it looks like Diddy is guilty. The last time Diddy tasted freedom is when he stepped outside of the Park Hyatt in Midtown, or wherever he was, in Uptown, to smoke a cigarette with his sons. That was the last time he was a free man. I wonder what he was smoking in Newport. Please, he probably wish he had been freebasing Tucci. Anyway, right?
Revolutionary salute to our family, Brooklyn Zoo, for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute to you.
Again, pursuant to the rules of federal civil procedure. On October 17th, he filed a motion to hold an appeal in abeyance pending a renewed motion for bail before the district court. The court granted the abeyance motion on October 24th, November 8th. Anyway, Diddy does not seek to appeal the district court's denial of his renewed motion and hereby moves to voluntary dismissal of appeal. Counsel has explained the effect of voluntary dismissal of appeal, and Diddy has signed Local Rule 4.2 statement attached. That's basically the statement saying, yeah, I know, I'm not going to do that anymore. So what changed? Why would he do this? A lot's changed. A lot's changed. His partner in crime, right, has been, pun intended, has been slammed with his own accusations. Now, let me say this. Whether or not Jay-Z is innocent or not is something that's going to have to be resolved in trial with Tony Busby. For everybody that thinks that a billionaire needs all this protection and goodwill, I'm not saying we got to say he's guilty, but come on now, right? He will have his day in court. I think Diddy's bigger issue is there is a magnifying glass being turned toward him and all of his associates. Maybe not the old school, big money, own half the world billionaires, but definitely toward his associates. There is a magnifying glass being put on hip hop. This is hip hop's Me Too movement. And for those of y'all saying, it seems like they're just trying to take down Black men. Me Too had its time in Hollywood spaces, which are predominantly white, took down the most powerful man in Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein. I don't think people realize that Harvey Weinstein was bigger, well-connected, and richer than Diddy. He took down Harvey Weinstein, okay? Took down Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was literally had presidents on his Rolodex, right? They've been taken down. It is hip hop's turn. For everybody saying, oh my God, this and that. Well, what else do you want us to happen? Like literally, is Eminem up for question? Jack Harlow? How many white males or females are there that have risen to the top of hip hop? Okay. Again, I'm sorry. It sucks, but listen, it is what it is. Anyway, right? Variety is Stephen J. Horowitz from Variety is saying that he's officially given up on getting out of prison before his trial date in May 2024. He's currently incarcerated in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He's previously been denied bail 3 times and has ultimately conceded to remaining in custody as he awaits his trial. He does not seek to appeal the district court's denial of its renewed motion, and here be moves to voluntarily dismiss the appeal. His lawyers explained the effect of voluntary dismissal. He signed all motions. Listen, Diddy has been lobbying for months to get out of prison. He did offer that $50 million bond backed by equity in his homes and a promise of security monitoring and assurance that he would not interfere with investigations surrounding the charges. However, Judge Arun laughed in his face, said, get out of here. You lied to me in court several times, and I'm sick of your antics. And she put him back there to spend Thanksgiving with all the rats and roaches that he literally is forcing to enact season 3 of Making of the Band. Now, he did get I wouldn't even call this a slight victory because he was entitled to this. The feds now that Diddy has been playing in their face and being so disrespectful, the feds now are making Diddy ask and fight for everything. They're not withholding anything, but they're saying if it's not a constitutional right, you better go to Judge Arun and ask. He was complaining that he couldn't get his laptop in his jail cell so that he could take notes, okay? The judge ruled, listen, you're allowed to access the preloaded laptop. The prosecution was like, why should he be allowed to access the laptop? All he does is leak information and harass people, Your Honor, right? They said, okay, you can access the preloaded laptop for review of discovery and prepare for your May trial. You can use it 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. However, they will not allow him to take notes, make notes, or do anything except for review. Okay, so that's how they got out of that. Diddy's team is trying to spin this as a win. It is not a win. At anything, it's not a win at all. Again, we'll see what's going on. Diddy and Jay-Z just had a Busby case refiled, recently named in a refiled case earlier this year, with Jane Joe stating that he and Diddy raped her when she was 13 years old in 2000. Again, Jay-Z has fired back and entered into a scorched earth policy. I will stand on this. The fact that everybody is, first of all, just give a denial. Just give a ironclad denial. And a lot of the doubting on the internet would go away. You're a liar. Your client's a liar. I'm suing y'all for defamation, and I will see you in court. The fact that literally Jay-Z wrote a book about how offended he was and refused to deny, well, baby, that's something you just can't ignore. Again, a lot of stuff moving. And by the twitching of my thumbs, I'm telling y'all, something wicked this way comes. There is something brewing. And that something has gotten Jay-Z, his whole crew, and Diddy already lost his mind, to lose their mind. People don't go scorched earth for a random lawsuit. It's something bigger. And people don't post on their Rockefeller accounts without there being something else. I'm just saying. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Weber. Hey, so before we jump into this, I have an exciting announcement I got to tell you about first. The video version of Sidebar is now behind bars in New York, his first Christmas behind bars in New York. His legal team is very hard at work, and they are writing up briefs and motions that they're filing with the court in the Southern District of New York, because that's where Combs faces federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking through force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution. And remember, investigators allege that Combs was using his power, his wealth, his influence to force people to participate in so-called freak-offs, these prolonged sex orgies that sometimes involve drugs and commercial sex workers. My gosh, how many times I've said freak-offs in the past 3 months is pretty unbelievable. But again, that's where we are. So anyway, there we have the criminal charges, but we also can't forget the civil lawsuits. They continue to pour in against Combs, and new witnesses also reportedly are testifying before the grand jury in the criminal case. So we're waiting to see, one of the things we're waiting to see is if the government will file a superseding indictment, adding or amending those federal charges, possibly, maybe even adding defendants too. We'll see. Now, to be clear, and it's always important to emphasize this, Combs has not only denied all wrongdoing, but he has not been found guilty of any sex crime or found liable in any of these civil suits. You know, I say he's denied all wrongdoing, but he did essentially admit to his actions on that 2016 surveillance tape of him beating his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura in a hotel hallway. Even his mother, in a legal statement, seemed to acknowledge that was him. But putting that to the side, the rapper was arrested outside of his hotel in New York City back in September. And his attorneys say, look, he had planned to turn himself in, but agents arrived a day early to take him into custody. He's been at the Metropolitan Detention Center ever since. And his attorneys have argued from really the very beginning several times that the steps taken by the prosecution are not only wrong, but they say they're unconstitutional. They want this case thrown out. What we want to do right now is get into the latest battle over what's called a filter team or Taint Team. Now, Combs' counsel says that the group, which is supposed to help protect Combs and keep the prosecution from seeing privileged information, isn't doing its job. So what is a filter team? Why are they controversial? Well, I'm not going to talk about this by myself. I have somebody to help me answer that. Going to break down what is going on here between the prosecution and the defense. So to join me to talk about this, I want to bring back on State Attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg is back with us. Dave, good to see you.
Jesse, great to be with you.
What is a filter team, Dave?
Remember when the feds raided Rudy Giuliani's house? Remember that? Giuliani's a lawyer, and so you can't go into attorney-client privilege. So how do the feds know the difference between what they're allowed to see and what they're not allowed to see? what is privileged and what is not.
And privileged, you mean private communications between his attorneys or things that are done in anticipation of the trial, right? Work product.
Correct. See, prosecutors aren't allowed to see everything. There are limits. Yep. And you have the Constitution, that pesky thing called the Constitution. There's the Fourth Amendment. You've got attorney-client privilege and all these other privileges, executive privilege. So to prevent the prosecutors from being tainted with information they're not allowed to see, they have what's called a taint team.
These are prosecutors?
Yeah, people from within the Department of Justice. They have special prosecutors. And because the word taint team was kind of unseemly and ugly, they decided to change it to filter team. So now we call it the filter team. And that's all it is. It's just the people who stand between the actual prosecutors on the case and the defendant.
And they are not part of the case at all. They're not prosecuting Sean Combs. They are separate, independent. That's what they're supposed to be.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So with that in mind, Combs' defense team, they have raised serious concerns about this filter team before. And it was mostly in connection with photographs of notes that were taken from Sean Combs' cell or his unit at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, which the defense says were protected under attorney-client privilege. So back in October, there was a federal raid at the MDC. It reportedly had nothing to do with Combs being there. This is according to officials, but it was pre-planned. Seems Combs' defense lawyers would disagree. They said this is really just a pretext. But as part of that sweep, Combs was questioned and photographs were taken of items that were found in his unit as part of this search for contraband. And we told you before, the MDC is just notorious for drugs, weapons, all sorts of violence and misconduct. But according to prosecutors, an investigator at the Bureau of Prisons let prosecutors know that the photos were taken of Sean Combs' writings, these notes, these potential communications. So to be on the safe side, prosecutors say they had the photos go through the filter team first. And some of the photos were sent back to the government, who apparently used them as evidence as part of their opposition to Sean Combs getting bail. What evidence? Well, in one of their filings in support of keeping Combs behind bars, the government wrote, the government argued that the defendant was actively continuing his efforts to obstruct justice while in custody, including by, among other things, attempting to influence witness testimony. In support, the government cited excerpts of portions of the photographs that discussed the defendant paying a potential witness and on other potential victims and witnesses, which had been provided to the government after review by the government's filter team. So the defense argued that the notebooks had the word legal written across the top, indicating, they were privileged, they shouldn't be looked through, they shouldn't be photographed. But that led to a hiccup because the judge wanted to know exactly when legal was written on one or several of these notebooks. And he also wanted to know if the defense was maybe trying to mislead the court on this issue, even called the defense out for maybe not being entirely accurate with when it was labeled or what was labeled. But in the end, Judge Arun Subramanian, the judge overseeing this case, did order the prosecution to get rid of copies of 19 pages of material and said that they couldn't use it as evidence in their motion to deny bail at this upcoming bail hearing. And by the way, that bail hearing ended with Sean Combs being denied bail a third time. But the judge did set a schedule for briefing and arguing about whether the photographs were a violation of Sean Combs' rights and what would the remedy be. Now, the defense is very unhappy with how the prosecutors and filter team are currently handling things, and they filed a motion for a hearing, suppression, and other relief. And according to that filing, the defense claims that the prosecution bypassed protocol that was in place for what to do if they received privileged information, and instead the filter team just gave mostly everything over to the government. In their filing, the defense gave several examples of cases from around the country where the validity of a filter team has been questioned, some dating back to 1994, others as recent as 2022. And the defense writes, the cases above recognize that in general, the use of a neutral arbiter, such as a special master, is more likely to protect a defendant's rights than the use of a prosecutorial taint team. And whatever the general merits of the taint team procedure, the filter team in this case utterly failed. Despite seeing references to defense experts, paralegals, witnesses, cross-examination strategy, and even names of defense lawyers, it failed to mark the material as privileged. They go on to say this extraordinary violation of Mr. Combs' Fourth and Sixth Amendment rights also constitutes outrageous government conduct that violates his Fifth Amendment right to due process. These are serious allegations. What do you make of it?
Well, I disagree with the defense lawyers that this is outrageous political and prosecutorial conduct, because the prosecutors have been doing this type of thing for years. Remember This was the argument that the defense is making that Donald Trump made in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, that before prosecutors should ever look at anything retrieved, we need to go to a special master first. That's what Judge Cannon
What's a special
decided.
master?
It's like a judge, a magistrate who will review the documents. This is what the defense here wants. They don't want the prosecutor to say. They essentially say that the Taint Team is tainted, because how do you have a neutral set of prosecutors when you work for the Department of Justice? Your colleagues are the prosecutors, but that happens all the time. And when Donald Trump and Judge Cannon tried to make this argument, they lost, because the appellate court said, no. It is fine for the filter team to do this because they're not involved in the case. Also, prosecutors take an oath. If they find exculpatory evidence, meaning evidence that could clear someone, they have to turn it over. It's different than a defense lawyer who's purely seeking the interests of the defendant.
But their argument would be, these are materials that are clearly attorney-client or work product privilege, and it was handed over to the prosecutors improperly. And look what the judge said. The judge said, delete get rid of the 19 pages of copies you have. So, I mean, again, talk to me about, do they have an argument here, the defense? And B, what rights does he have while in detention? He talks about his due process rights. I mean, also, I believe his rights to reasonable search and seizures, Sixth Amendment right. Talk to us about what rights he has while being detained, and also, does he have an argument here?
Well, this whole situation shows that the process works. It works because the filter team reviewed it. The filter team made a determination that these were not covered by attorney-client privilege, pass it on, and then the judge said, no, I disagree. We're going to throw it all out. And the prosecutors were not able to use that. The system works. No one is perfect. This is a judgment call. But also, I think it is kind of interesting that the judge sort of shared my suspicions that it looks like Diddy wrote the term legal on everything. Like,
well, we don't know if it was him or someone else.
So, yeah. But, just by putting the term legal doesn't make it privilege. It's not like you can say Beetlejuice and all of a sudden everything disappears, because here it looks like a lot of the stuff was not really privileged, was evidence of witness tampering. But they got away with it because they put the term legal, and the judge said, we're going to err on the side of protecting the defendant, which is why, to your last question, the system is working because the defendant continues to have protection. Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial, to right to a lawyer, the Fourth Amendment right to unreasonable searches and seizures. You have all these protections, attorney-client privilege. And so the judge here is recognizing that and protecting Diddy's rights. And so I think the system worked.
Is there a scenario where an indictment can be thrown out because of serious violations of privilege or constitutional rights? Because that's what they're asking for.
Well,
one of the things they're asking for.
That's why they're saying this is outrageous conduct by the prosecutors. If this was an innocent mistake, then no, it would not be thrown out. If it was intentional misconduct, then yes, that could happen. That could be the penalty. That's what they're going for. But there's no evidence there is intentional misconduct. They went through the proper process that's used in every case where you have this filter team. The filter team says this is privilege, this is not. And if the judge disagrees, the judge throws it out. That's exactly what happened here.
They're also asking, I think, for a minimum to look into this filter team, also look into the prosecutors, and maybe possibly disqualify any of the prosecutors who were involved in this. And the way I think you would look at that is to say, A, if they engaged in wrongdoing, they shouldn't be part of the prosecution. But B, if they've already viewed what was privileged and work product, if they've already viewed privileged material, they shouldn't prosecute this case. That's not fair to Sean Combs. What would your argument be to that?
Depends how damaging the privileged material is. If it's because the filter team gave them something that they're not allowed to see, and it only pertains to the question of pretrial release, well, that doesn't go to the ultimate issue of the case. That should not disqualify the prosecutors. If the prosecutors saw something that they should not see as to whether Sean Diddy Combs is guilty or not, then perhaps that is an argument that that prosecutor should be removed from the case. But there's no evidence of that here. There's no evidence of intentional wrongdoing. What you're seeing is very well-paid, very aggressive defense lawyers doing their jobs for their high-profile, wealthy client.
And by the way, as an aside, let me also say real quick, it's not just us here at Long Crime that have been covering these Diddy stories and updates for you. Websites all over the internet are grabbing readers with headlines like, Puff Daddy stays in jail for trying to influence witnesses. Woman sues Sean Combs for raping her. And that is exactly where a platform like Ground News comes in. So what they are is a small independent team that we actually partner with because they can help us deliver just the facts when we report on stories like this. You can go to motion for a hearing. At the conclusion of it, the defense listed out steps that it thinks should be taken. directing that a special master, like we talked about, a judge, conduct privilege review in lieu of the filter team going forward. Now, after the defense filed this motion, the government responded, and they requested more time to essentially get their ducks in a row and file a full response. So this filing from December 5th reads, the government respectfully submits this letter motion to request an adjournment of the briefing schedule in connection with the motion filed by the defendant last night. Now, obviously, the court set a schedule for filings related to these notes. I mentioned about whether there was a violation regarding these notes that were photographed at the MDC. And that meant that the government's opposition paper was due December 9th. Prosecution's arguing they need more time than that, at least as much time as the defense had to file their own motion. So the government offered their own proposed timeline, which would give them until December 20th. The prosecution said that in their request, they needed to adequately respond to the myriad issues raised in the defendant's brief. Specifically, given that the government's case team cannot respond to certain arguments advanced in the defendant's brief regarding privilege because the case team is no longer in possession of the notes at issue, the government must add an assistant United States attorney to the filter team to take on that response. Additionally, given the breadth and scope of the extraordinary relief requested by the defendant, an adjournment is appropriate. The judge apparently granted that motion. Dave, what do you think?
Well, I understand. I mean, the prosecution is entitled to time to respond to these allegations. When the defense is trying to bounce these prosecutors off the case entirely, they want us to take a step back and say, all right, let's talk about this, especially because they do not have access to the materials in question. So the defense is saying you should never have seen this. Look what's here. And the prosecutor is saying, we don't have it. A lot of this stuff was in the possession of the filter team. Other stuff we had, and then the court took it away. So to give us more time, we need more personnel when we need to fully brief this issue.
Long term, if the judge says something was really wrong here, at the very least, could that evidence not come in to trial? Could it be suppressed? If it's evidence of obstruction, him attempting to reach out to people, that would be really good for the prosecution's case, because obstruction is one of the underlying crimes of the racketeering conspiracy case, the criminal enterprise. You think there's a chance that evidence won't be allowed in?
It depends on whether there was prosecutorial misconduct. If there was misconduct, if it was bad faith, then yes, but there's no evidence of that. Remember the Lori Vallow Daybell case in Idaho?
No, I don't remember it.
Yes, the cult mob.
I lived 2 years of that case.
Right?
Yeah, 3 years.
The court took the death penalty off the table. Why? Not because of anything she did or said.
No.
It's because the prosecutors were slow in turning over discovery. So there are sanctions that courts can use to punish prosecutors. Now, if the prosecutors here were extra slow, no evidence of that, or extra dirty, no evidence of that, then yeah, you could have things like evidence suppressed or charges thrown out.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I want to ask you about this. So let me take everybody to December 10th. So this is 10 days before the new due date for the government's response. The court receives a letter from 2 assistant U.S. attorneys who recently joined the filter team to help expedite these reviews. And those 2 AUSAs said that they're just trying to do their jobs, but they claim, and the prosecution claims, that the defense is basically stonewalling. So the filter team in this paper writes, in order to address this issue, the government asked the defendant to produce directly to the filter team unredacted copies of materials the defendant had filed ex parte with the court containing facts or analysis relevant to the defendant's privilege claims. And ex parte means that it was filed by one side without notice or input from the other side. Do it for, security reasons, safety reasons, privacy reasons. Anyway, this writing goes on to say the filter team understands from its conversations with the defense that the defense refuses to provide fully unredacted copies of the ex parte filings to the filter team because doing so would reveal additional attorney-client communications and or work product beyond what is reflected in the notes. The extensive redactions and the copies of the Garagos declarations the government has received, however, make it impossible to fully understand the basis for the defendant's claims of privilege as to each of the challenged portions of the notes, and thus to evaluate and adequately respond to the defendant's claims. So when the filter team talks about redactions, this is what we mean. Huge chunks of the declaration from defense attorney Tenny Garagos, they are blacked out. There's really nothing meaningful there. For example, one section reads, next he wrote, then it's blanked out. Then Mr. Combs notes there are blank to his counsel as to blank. There's another page that's almost entirely blacked out with the only readable words being, however, Mr. Combs has communicated to me several times. Now, the government writes, in the event the court would like the filter team to address the privilege issues, the filter team respectfully requests that the court order the defendant to provide unredacted copies of the ex parte filings directly to the filter team. This is the part I'm not sure I understand. So what they're saying is, if you say there is a privilege issue, we, the filter team, need to see these actual documents. But doesn't that defeat the purpose? They don't have a right to see his privileged materials. What am I not getting?
It's the filter team, not the prosecutors on the case. So the filter team should have access to it, especially if you're claiming there was prosecutorial misconduct. Remember, there are 11 serious allegations against the Department of Justice, and they're trying to get the prosecutors bounced from this case. In the meantime, they're forcing these same prosecutors to respond, to fight with one hand tied behind their backs. They're saying, here, you have seen things you should not have seen. Meanwhile, they're not even telling the court what it is. And we're not saying that they should show the prosecutors that, just show the filter team, who are separate from the prosecutors. There's a wall between them and the prosecutors on this case.
So the defense responded, and they objected to the unredacted paperwork being given to the filter team. And they point out in their filing, the government cites no authority supporting any such request. So the defense gave its own example, this United States v. Seglia case, which was argued in the Southern District of New York in 2015. And it says there, privileged documents were shared with a Wall AUSA pursuant to an agreement between the government and, I think that it said, the defendant. And when the Wall AUSA sought the disclosure of additional documents over the defendant's objections, the court denied the government's request and ordered the defendant to produce the documents directly to the court for an in-camera review. So, Dave, that means, and tell me if that's a possibility here. All this back and forth, give it to Judge Subramanian. He'll determine if there's actually a privilege violation. And by the way, in camera means not in front of a camera. It means in his chambers, private, right? So is that an option?
Yeah, that's an option. But then how can the prosecutors ever be thrown off the case when the defense doesn't show the filter team any of the information they say was wrongly shown to the prosecutors?
Show it to the judge.
Show it to the judge, and then the judge says, yeah, the filter team should see it, though. Why wouldn't the filter team see it? Like, what's the problem unless you don't trust the filter team?
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying
it, right?
They're saying the filter team failed.
Well, the thing is that I understand the case they're citing, but what they're doing is redacting pretty much everything. Like we don't know in the case they cited how much of this good stuff was redacted. It could have been just a little bit here and there. But what the defense is doing, they're trying to have it both ways. They're saying this stuff is so inflammatory. This is going to kill our case. It should be a mistrial. These guys should be thrown off the case. But we're not going to tell the prosecutors what it is. We're not even going to tell the filter team what it is. At most, we'll tell the judge what it is. And then the judge will then say, okay, I agree. Or how do the prosecutors respond to that? What kind of defense can they make to the argument unless they have access, at least their filter team, to the material itself?
By the way, really simplistic question before I let you go. Does the judge review it himself? He's got court clerks. Can the court clerks review privileged material, or that's not right either?
Sure. Well, the judge depends on his clerks. So they can all do it.
Okay.
Also, there's a lot of material. The judge doesn't have that much
That's what
time.
I'm wondering. One person as opposed to a filter team, you're giving it to a judge to make the decision. That seems practically like it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, it takes time, and these judges, they got other things to do. They got a golf game.
No, wow. Yeah. Well, this is a big case for Judge Arun Subramanian, and we will continue to follow it. This is just kind of a tangential issue, but the back and forth between the prosecution and defense attorneys continue.
Allegations make an appearance in many civil lawsuits against Diddy, including this very one filed by John Doe. John Doe's allegations date back to 2006 at one of Diddy's renowned white parties. Here's how the lawsuit describes them. Sean Combs's infamous white parties were legendary events, known for their exclusivity, extravagance, and strict dress code, where attendees were required to wear all white. These high-profile parties, particularly those held at Combs's estate in the Hamptons, attracted A-list celebrities from across the entertainment, fashion, and business worlds. The events were lavishly decorated, featured live music performances, and boasted top-tier food and beverages. The atmosphere at these parties was one of opulence and luxury, often making headlines for their celebrity guest lists, over-the-top entertainment, and the stunning aesthetics of the event. John Doe says the assault happened back in 2006 when he was employed by a security firm, Mass Security, where he provided security services for nightclubs and private events. In August of that year, plaintiff accepted a last-minute job at Combs's East Hampton property, which he believed was hosting an exclusive white party for a large affluent crowd. Plaintiff noted that the guests arrived in luxury vehicles, and many appeared to be executives. John Doe says right when he got to the party, Diddy himself greeted John Doe. Apparently, Diddy liked to meet with all the staff and the security members at his parties. Now, according to John Doe, things started off completely normal with Diddy. They chatted and Diddy was friendly. He even offered John Doe another future security job right on the spot. But John Doe turned that one down at the time because his father was severely ill. And to that, Diddy appeared sympathetic and understanding. So things started off normally and John Doe seemed friendly with Diddy. But as the evening progressed, Combs allegedly targeted plaintiff and provided him with 2 alcoholic drinks throughout the night. After consuming the second drink, plaintiff, that's John Doe, began to feel extremely ill and leaned against his truck for support. Based on information and belief, Combs, by himself or through his agents or employees, previously laced the drink with drugs, including but not limited to GHB and/or ecstasy. This behavior towards plaintiff mimics a pattern of Combs and his agents/employees drugging unsuspecting victims in order to make it easier for Combs to sexually assault the person. At first, though, Diddy seemed to express concern for John Doe that he might even be sick, but things quickly took a turn. And here's a trigger warning. This next part gets graphic and disturbing. John Doe soon found himself being forcibly pushed into an open van by Combs, an act that left him in considerable pain. Once inside the van, plaintiff was allegedly held down by Combs, who overpowered him while he struggled to escape due to the effects of the drugs in his system. In a horrific turn of events, Combs allegedly sexually assaulted plaintiff by inserting his penis into plaintiff's anus and sodomizing him, all the while dismissing plaintiff's pleas for help by repeatedly saying, "You'll be all right." After all this, Diddy simply hopped out of the van and headed back to the party. According to this suit, John Doe struggled to leave the party due to the drugs he believed to be in his system from the alcoholic drinks Combs provided. As he was leaving the party, he experienced a disturbing sensation as a lubricant-like fluid leaked from him, which he believed to be semen, causing him profound disgust. Upon arriving home and showering, plaintiff noticed more semen discharge, which intensified his feelings of violation and revulsion. Eventually, John Doe informed his supervisor about this incident, but says he was never hired by Mass Security again. In the lawsuit, John Doe says he's faced ongoing emotional pain and mental issues for years, saying he feels disgusted and depressed. He says it's affected his personal life too, saying he struggles to maintain relationships because of the assault. This lawsuit was filed back on October 14th, but just this week, John Doe finally broke his silence in a CNN interview. He chose to remain anonymous, so his face was darkened and his name was not made public. But he did double down on the allegations against Diddy, describing how intense the assault was and how the aftermath of this party still affects him daily. He said, quote, "The full gravity of it lives with me to this day. It affects every single thing you do for the rest of your life." He talked about the night of the white party too, saying he wasn't able to stand after having 2 drinks, saying it felt more like he had 15. He called it, quote, "incapacitation I had never experienced before and I felt powerless." John Doe told CNN that he was never asked to work for the Mass Security firm again. About his manager, John Doe said, quote, "He just dismissed it and said, I'll talk to him. After that, he didn't talk to me again. He cut me out of everything. I was totally blacklisted after that. I had to find a different field." Because of this emotional fallout, John Doe told CNN that his marriage ended, saying the trauma negatively impacted his relationships. Here's where things get a little tricky, though. According to the initial filing, John Doe had never been married. The initial filing also states the assault happened in 2006, but John Doe told CNN it actually happened in 2007. In 2006, Diddy's white party was held in Saint-Tropez, but John Doe claimed the assault happened in the Hamptons. About all this, John Doe's team filed an amended complaint changing those details. They said mistakes were made because they rushed to file. Hey, so I'm going to take a guess and say a lot of you who watch our videos might be business owners, maybe even some sort of side hustle you're trying to build. That will give us a closer look. We've got criminal defense attorney and former assistant prosecutor Mike Korbanix. Mike, it's always great when you come on with us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Okay, so we've been talking about P. Diddy for almost a year now at this point, and the slew of civil lawsuits just keep coming. We've read the intense details in a lot of these suits, but now we're hearing from the accuser, not just legal jargon, we're hearing his actual emotions in relation to this alleged assault. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a very interesting sort of case because, first of all, the thing that really throws me on this, being a lawyer and trying cases, is the amount of time that has passed since these accusations were made. And another interesting thing in this case is he is claiming he was under the influence of drugs and narcotics because of drinks he got. And that would absolutely be a question at trial as to, especially something that happens, what is it now, 17 years ago?
Yeah.
How could your memory be enough to meet the burdens of proof? Now, granted, this isn't a criminal case where it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You only need proof by a preponderance of evidence, which is about 51% to carry it forward. But I think that's a big question here.
It's interesting. You're kind of talking about it. You're putting your defense attorney cap on, you know, what Diddy's team would say about things, which is good. I mean, that is what they would bring up. Hey, this happened decades ago, almost at this point. Is your memory, in fact, 100%? But if we're talking about the plaintiff side of things, I'm wondering if this would be helpful for them. The fact that he says he was drugged by Diddy, and that's very similar to a pattern we've seen in a lot of other lawsuits, civil side, and of course, the federal suit that has been filed against him. So do you think that part helps, the fact that this kind of establishes a pattern, something that Diddy allegedly did a lot?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, when you're in trial, every question could cut both ways. And this absolutely could, because that would be the argument for them that this was part of the process of getting a person into a situation where Diddy could then sexually abuse them. So that cuts both ways, and it's an interesting point to make.
Do you think that John Doe's team would also mention, I know that you brought up this happened so long ago, but potentially they would mention, hey, this is a really traumatic thing. It's very common for sexual assault survivors to take their time to come forward, if at all, because it's something they're dealing with. I mean, is that something they would highlight in order to bolster the reason for the filing at the time it was filed?
Absolutely. That's something that's very commonly known, and that happens in civil cases as well as criminal cases. I mean, I was a former sexual prosecutor, so I have dealt with those way back when, and that is a big question. But there's an interesting question in this case, being in New York State, is the fact that I don't do civil work in New York State, but the fact that there's a question here, from what I see, as to the statute of limitations as to this. Now, I understand that in 2019, New York put the statute of limitations to 20 years. However, this happened back in 2007 when the statute of limitations was 5 years. So the question of can they even bring it, since it didn't interact where it could be an extension, it passed in 2012, but the amendment didn't happen until 2019.
So there's lots of questions about all of that, whether this will hold based on the statute of limitations. And you mentioned specifically this happened in the year 2007. I want to touch on that because in the initial filing for John Doe, that was back in October, he said this happened in 2006. Then he now breaks his silence in an exclusive CNN interview, says it was 2007. So CNN points this out, hey, 2006, 2007, which is it? They mention, okay, we were just rushing to file. That's why we had the discrepancy. It said 2006. It was really 2007. Is that a bad thing for his side? I mean, the fact that they had a year wrong, the date.
Well, I got to talk as a real lawyer there, because sometimes you make typographical errors. Sometimes these things are, you know, you're working off perhaps an old complaint, which has a legal data you need in it, and you make a typographical error. You didn't change a name, you didn't do something, because there's certain parts of the allegations that have to be the same in every case. So I don't think it's that big a deal, especially when the question is, he never said he was in Saint-Tropez, where I think that was the question. He was in New York, so that was just a mistake or maybe a typographical error. So I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah, it's good to know lawyers make typos too. You know, we're not all completely perfect. So that's a good point, Mike. And they did refile and put 2007 in it. I want to talk about more about his interview too to CNN. He remained anonymous, obviously, in the lawsuit. He's listed as John Doe. And then he decides to speak out to CNN, but we don't see his face. We don't see his name, any of that. Why do you think he chose to speak out but still remain anonymous?
Well, I would imagine, quite frankly, that one of the reasons is he's feared for his own safety. He doesn't know. I mean, P. Diddy is a famous person. People are following this. There's people watching our show. There's people very familiar with this. And so I would assume that he doesn't want to be someone who, if he goes out to dinner somewhere, somebody says, oh, that's that guy we saw on CNN, and, you know, harass him and things of that nature. So I think that's very understandable.
What do you think about this interview in general? Do you think it would help or hurt his case? I mean, if this does go to jury trial, and obviously Diddy's got a lot of lawsuits that are kind of lined up for all of that, but let's say this one specifically does, could Diddy's team pull this interview and even use it against him?
Absolutely. I'm not a big fan of going and having my clients go on TV and be interviewed and things of that nature. Number one is that's really not admissible in court unless it becomes some sort of consistency or something of that matter. And also, you've got to be careful because jurors are going to be asked, how are you familiar with this case? And is that familiarity with that case going to make you prejudicial in your decisions here? So if you saw that, I would think they would ask, any lawyer would ask the judge to dismiss that person from the jury because they have a preconceived notion and they're supposed to start from square one to be fair and be basically like the first time I'm hearing this case is in the jury box. And that's a problem with that.
Yeah, that's definitely something tricky, something to think about in regards to doing these very public interviews. I mean, on CNN, we're talking about it. So people all over are kind of touching on it. But for the other side of things, for John Doe himself, I'm wondering if it was helpful in the way of he was describing how this affected his life. He said he's had to deal with the emotional and traumatic stress of it ever since this happened. He said something I want to read. He wrote, quote, "I was screaming, telling him to stop. It was incapacitation I had never experienced before, and I felt powerless." So if the jury is in fact hearing this interview, let's just say, do you think that's helpful, showing him the emotional side of things?
Well, it could be helpful for his case, but it could be prejudicial for P. Diddy's defense in the case, where then it will become an issue in jury selection.
Okay, so a lot of that is speculation anyway. We'll see what happens if this eventually does go to jury trial. Just talking about what he said, though, in this interview, do you think if he was to go on the stand, do you think that would be helpful for his team?
It could be, as long as he's consistent with the testimony on the stand, as he said in the interview. That interview, though, did seem to have a lot of generalization, not too much specific things being said. And quite frankly, it's difficult to be specific about something that happened 17 years ago.
It's interesting when we're talking P. Diddy, because right now today we're talking about civil cases. And for the bulk of the time we've been covering Diddy, it's been civil because it took quite a while for those criminal charges to be filed. But we do have the criminal side of things too. Obviously, that's kind of taking priority to all of these civil allegations. But something I ask every time is, do you think that the prosecution, the US government, could call on some of these accusers, John Doe, this specific John Doe, for instance, or other Jane Does, or even ones who have made their names public, to testify in the criminal case against him?
Absolutely. These would be people that they would, even if they don't call them to testify, they would definitely be people they'd want to interview in preparation for their trial to make sure that everything they have in their proofs is consistent with what they believe it to be. And if these people back it up or show that there's something incorrect, I think they actually have an obligation to do that to make sure they're on the right path in prosecuting P. Diddy.
And if we're talking about the sheer number of accusers there have been, it's honestly almost hard to keep up with the number of lawsuits that have been filed. It seems like weekly we're getting more and more. Apparently, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who allege that they've been accused by have been assaulted rather by P. Diddy. So with that in mind, how is P. Diddy's team dealing with that? Obviously, the criminal side of things is going to kind of take precedence, but what about the overwhelming number of civil suits they're also facing?
Well, one of the interesting things about that, I hope I'm correct in this, is almost all the people in the civil suits are represented by the same lawyer. And that's a little unusual to me. So it'll be interesting how P. Diddy will be, his representation will be looking at that to see, is there something here that is basically just trying to get numbers so we look like we're more credible, yet these people are all from the same place. So I think that's an interesting issue, and it's something unusual to me in my experience. I haven't seen that many people represented by the same firm in a civil case.
How does all of that play into the criminal side of things? Because you're right, Tony Busby is the one who's filed most of these, and he's been in the news a lot lately because another person has filed suit against him. But again, he's coming forward with all these allegations. Is this at all going to affect criminal side of things?
I don't believe so at this point in time. The only time it could come up is if it is a question of credibility of a witness, but nothing that's going to happen in a civil case will be admissible in the criminal case because they're two separate burdens of proof.
And just this week, it was announced that even more lawsuits were going to be filed against P. Diddy on the civil side of things, even more accusations coming forward. So I guess we're going to learn more about the allegations against Diddy in the coming days and weeks. Mike, thank you for coming on with us today to talk about John Doe and the allegations he made.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
A little bit crazy and a fast video, but we got Foxy admitting in an unearthed song that she dated Jay-Z. We got his son, his alleged son, who I think is going to be teaming up with Busby. And we got Nas's baby mama, Carmen Brown, who was Jay-Z's mistress. No, because Jay-Z wasn't married. Carmen was sleeping with Nas and Jay-Z. Now she's coming out and she's showing us his lyrics. It's a lot. So like the videos interplays, we got a lot to get into and we don't have a lot of time.
I was listening to Make It Make Sense. Shout out to Make It Make Sense. Thank you.
Make it make sense to me intellectually.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Big Mims.
Surfer.
Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things in your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you say. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things in your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
No, this is the party. Oh, why? I just come back when everybody get here. No, stay. no, it's cool. I just come back later when everybody stay. Oh, Diddy, all right, I'm here. Party with me, Dad. I'll be the first one here, okay. Where everybody at? It's just me and you in here today. Yeah. Now come dance for Brother Love. I mean, ain't no music playing right now. I said dance for Brother Love! Take that. Okay, guys, so if you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. If you're not new to the channel, hit the like button. It's a free way, but you can both subscribe, and like either way it goes, I don't think we really need to get into all the ins and outs about Foxy and Jay-Z. The rumors have been out probably way before Nas did Ether, but definitely after. In addition, Jay-Z teaming up with Foxy while she was very young and doing a very sexually suggestive song didn't help either. We all know Foxy was discovered at a young age. And similar to Tierra Marie, her first songs were very sexual in nature. That stuff would not fly in present day, but in the 90s, it was kind of like the Wild Wild West. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, when Nas did Ether, he said, Foxy got you hot because you kept her face, because you kept your face in her puss. In addition, we got everybody's favorite. Wendy Williams had a lot to say on the relationship.
In a relationship.
Okay.
We did,
yeah.
There's no problem.
And definitely
not on my part, actually.
And definitely not the personal one that you used to have.
Excuse you.
I'm just asking, just the personal, or just commenting rather.
Personal.
So Nas and Nature and those people.
No, there was not a personal relationship with Jay-Z.
No, I'm not calling on
that. But the fans get it confused.
Okay. To hear Foxy tell it, there wasn't. Now look, Nas.
She said to hear Foxy tell it, there wasn't. When Wendy was good, especially radio Wendy was hilarious.
I still have questions about Jay-Z because I'm going to tell you.
What do you want to know?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I believe. I believe you and Jay-Z were romantically involved. Period. And I believe that as soon as as soon as you introduce sexuality into a working partnership, things get kind of twisted.
But why do you believe that? What led you to believe that?
Let's not go into it because you don't want to go into it. Hey, you don't want to go into it. You know what? It's not like I've ever seen you all on the studio floor, doing your thing or anything.
Again, Foxy has always denied it. Now, a more recent interview was between Dame Dash and Nick Cannon.
At what age was Foxy Brown signed?
I wasn't paying attention to Foxy Brown.
But
I didn't sign Foxy Brown.
I know
you put me in
just asking a
you
question.
I'm on the block. I'm responsible for everybody.
You the boss.
Yo, don't beat around the bush. Say what you want.
I'm just
What do you mean by that question?
I was just asking.
What do you insinuate?
I'm not insinuating. I just asked the question. I thought Foxy was like 16. That's all I'm saying.
It sounds like
all I'm saying is in this industry when we live in this
it seems like you got a question for Jay. Ask him. Y'all keep asking me questions. Y'all want to ask him because he ain't here. Ask him. I ain't got shit to do with that, and I don't even know nothing about that.
Lyrically, Foxy is a beast. Lyrically, Foxy was winning competitions. That's how she was discovered. I want to say she was first discovered when she was 15. I think she recorded the song with Jay-Z. It was Be Good on her album, and on Jay's album, it was it No Nigga? Ain't No. But either way, they were both very sexual songs. I think the song was recorded when she was 16, released when she was 17. And people always had questions about their relationship.
You my man. I know, not with me. When you say that Foxy was 16 when she got signed, why did you say that just now?
When I first was introduced to who Foxy was, I thought there was something between Foxy and Jay.
Oh, you got Jay. But that's the question you're trying to ask me.
You're a funny cat.
Dame was not invested in this part of the conversation. Now, he didn't say it wasn't true. He technically just didn't answer. Now, shout out to Chanel's Reality. I saw this on her channel. I'm not gonna lie, Foxy is one of my favorite rappers. She does not have an extremely large discography. I hope I pronounced that right. She doesn't really have a large one. Broken Silence is my favorite Foxy album. I still listen to it to this day, even though Wendy Williams gave it a 4.5. I like Foxy, and I hate what happened to her, but that's not what we're talking about now. I didn't even know she was putting out music in 2010. This was a song she put out in 2010, and you guys do with this as you may.
Talking about the hood going crazy, niggas heard I fuck with Ross and had a nigga baby. Said I fuck with Nas and now they say it's AZ, but on the low, real nigga was Jay-Z.
When I heard that, it was like the record stopped, because I've always reaffirmed that it was like a big brother, big sister relationship. And anytime you have a man and a woman who are in close proximity and, you know, they're both rapping about sexual stuff, the thought is that they did something, but she always denied it. When I heard it in the song, I low-key kind of felt like, this whole time you have denied it. And there has been, you know, bad blood between Foxy and Jay-Z. We've seen this play out. We've seen it play out in the media. I don't know why she would play like this. There's always the chance for Foxy to come back and say, well, it was just me being an artist. I was just effing around. But why would you F around with that? Especially considering the fact that the thought is you were messing with him when you were underage. So is this a situation where Foxy is using her music to expose her truth, or is Foxy just kind of playing with the media? I'll let you guys listen to it again.
Talking about the hood going crazy, niggas heard I fuck with Ross. I had a nigga baby, said I fuck with Nas, and now they say it's AZ. But on the low, real nigga was Jay-Z.
That's in her own words. So you can actually look this up on YouTube. The song, let's see. The song is called, it's Foxy Brown featuring Lil Fame and Bam, Let 'Em Know. It was uploaded 14 years ago, so nobody can say that it was doctored, edited. This was, in her own words, 14 years ago. It doesn't even have a lot of views, which is probably why I didn't know that the song existed. So again, shout out to Chanel's Reality. I had not seen that prior to her video. I want to know in the comments section, does this change anything for those of you who feel like Foxy never messed with Jay? Do you feel like this was just her singing, or has this changed your mind, or cast some doubt on what she was saying about their purely platonic relationship? The other reason that Foxy keeps coming up is she keeps throwing subliminal messages. Foxy Brown seemingly reacts to Diddy's FBI arrest. Just a couple of eyes, just a couple of emojis. She says shit's about to really get crazy. That was September 17th. October 5th, she posts this. In response to somebody, my story will shock you to the core. I don't play victim, but I had to step away for a minute for my sanity, or I would have been dead. She goes on. She's responding through these subliminals each time news hits. October 6th, she says, this is in response to Tisa Tells. Somebody says, Jay-Z spot about to be blown up soon. Once Fox NDA is over in 2025, baby, she gonna be singing. I feel like Rock Nation is almost done. That's why Nicki is so comfortable talking like this. To which Foxy replied, in icon business, miss me with the fake news NDA. Ain't an MF alive could stop my story. NDA on my shit gonna run 100 mil. And then she says, in response to Tisa's video, or Tisa says, Foxy breaks silence, game over for Jay-Z. She says, stop playing with my name, dying for a comment. Can't spin me with the sucker shit to take Hove down. Better ask about the cloth I'm cut from. Again, reasserting her relationship with Jay-Z. Y'all want me to be anti-Hove so bad. F out of here. Post that. Then when the most recent stuff came out on Jay-Z, she posted this. Wait. And then this emoji. So she doesn't want to be associated as somebody who's been in a relationship with him in interviews, but then she does a song saying that she was in a relationship with him at some point. Now she's sending subliminal. So I can't speak for Foxy, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some shit that went on that was messed up. Potentially they dated. She can't really talk. Something is there where I feel like she can't actually say what she wants to say. So she puts out very PR friendly stuff, but I can't imagine she would have put it in a song and it would have just been for shits and giggles. There was another song that she did. It was a remix to Anne-Marie's song, and it was a direct shot at Beyonce. When Beyonce and Jay-Z did the Bonnie and Clyde thing, the thought was Foxy was upset about that because there was supposed to be like a Bonnie and Clyde thing on her album. Little known fact, Toni Braxton was also upset because when they released that, Toni Braxton was supposed to have a Bonnie and Clyde, or maybe she was supposed to have that beat and that song, and Beyonce took it. That's why she was mad at Beyonce all those years ago. Little known fact. But anyway, she said, I get the paper, so I don't care. And what the F is wrong with him? I don't wear Burberry to the pool. I wear Roberto Cavalli. Now, we all know that that is a direct shot at Beyonce because in the Bonnie and Clyde video, Beyonce very famously wore a Burberry swimsuit, had all the girls going out buying Burberry swimsuits. The power of Beyonce. We don't really know technically what went on. The only people who could actually tell you would be Foxy Brown and Jay-Z. We do know that they did work together. We do know that Foxy was way too young to be singing those types of lyrics on songs with Jay-Z. But again, nobody will ever really know. But if she keeps, throwing out these subliminals, people are going to keep pulling their threads and asking questions. So I definitely want to hear how you guys feel about it in the comment section. Again, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're not new, definitely hit that like button. Now let's move on to Jay-Z's alleged son. It says Ramir, who has long alleged that he is the son of music mogul Jay-Z, is once again in the spotlight after his godmother, Dr. Lily Cooley, issued a heartfelt response to Jay-Z's recent statement to attorney Busby. Dr. Coley's letter sheds light on years of legal battles and alleged misconduct, expressing her unwavering commitment to justice for Ramir and his late mother. In her letter, Dr. Coley described her reaction to Jay-Z's statement as deeply unsettling, calling attention to what she claims are systematic failures and unethical practices in the legal system. She alleges that these actions have led to violation of her family's rights and disregard for fairness. As a former legal guardian for my godson, I have firsthand experience navigating years of allegations of fraud and misconduct in cases involving Mr. Carter and his legal team. Dr. Coley also highlighted personal hardships, including discovered illegal liens on her property in 2023, which she believes were connected to the ongoing legal disputes. Despite these challenges, she emphasized her faith in ethical attorneys like Tony Busby, who stand up for victims' rights. Are y'all connecting these dots? Busby is with the shits. Jay-Z's attorneys are going at him full throttle. I don't know if this is his son. He looks like him. I've heard the boy talk before. I believe that he is looking for justice. We know that Jay-Z can't just submit to a blood test, because if he does turn out to be the father, then it would be him admitting that he had done something with an underage girl. That's why, y'all, he's not doing it. But this message talking about Attorney Busby and the way that she's talking about Attorney Busby, I would not be surprised if we see a link up between this young man and the attorney who is embroiled with Jay-Z in a lawsuit. And I'm here for it. I feel like the young man deserves answers. At the very least, when he was younger, you could have gave a blood test. But Jay-Z, Jay-Z's always been about what things look like on the exterior. I'm not going to lie. Beyonce is one of the most beautiful women in the world. However, Beyonce was on the come up. And I feel like Jay-Z has always been that person who wants to connect and link himself to the hottest and most upcoming people. A lot of people who are in the industry or in the business, we see them do that. It makes you feel like you're being embraced by somebody who has like the wisdom and the experience behind them, but it also helps them keep them at the forefront of people's mouths. You will see that a lot. You will always see people trying to connect themselves to whoever the newest person is. Keep an eye out for those type of people. That's why I feel like there was always these things, rumors about Jay-Z trying to get Aaliyah. Aaliyah was the hottest thing smoking. Aaliyah's trajectory career-wise was on the come up. Times 10, movies, music, everything. And insert Jay-Z. Then we all know Leah tragically passed. And I'm fully aware that she was dating Dame Dash, but Carmen Bryan was dating Nas. These very, very successful people, even very, very early in their careers, started going after people who were already dating with, married to their contemporaries. They all do it. So I don't put anything, I don't care if your business partner was there. This has always been strange. Like, y'all can put in the comments how you feel. But I always believe that Jay-Z is always trying to link himself to the hottest. When maybe he didn't feel that Foxy Brown was the hottest anymore, he moved on to Emil. Then he moved on to whatever other male or female artist. If your album didn't sell well, you're out the door. People still feel like he threw Meek, not Meek Mill, Memphis Bleak. Sorry, tongue twister. He threw him under the bus when the song Is That Your Chick came out, and it was a direct shot at Nas. Dude's career was never the same. Once he wasn't hot anymore, he was out the picture. But let's move into that, because now that we're talking about Carmen Bryan had a long-term love affair with both Nas and Jay-Z at the same time. She, I watched interviews with her, and I kind of feel like she kind of glorifies the fact that she was the woman in between, and she almost kind of takes credit for all these songs. You would have thought she written all of these diss tracks that Nas and Jay-Z put out about each other. But anyway, she had a point, and this is what I brought up to my barber today when I was getting my haircut. It says, Carmen Bryan, who claims she had a 9-year affair with Jay-Z and became pregnant by him before miscarrying, takes to Instagram to share Jay-Z's lyrics from Kanye's Monster. Kill a block, I murder the avenues, I R-word and pillage your village, women and children. And on its face, My Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye is one of my favorite albums. It stays on my workout playlist basically since it's been out. And I'm not even the hugest Kanye fan, but that album specifically, I like the song Monster. I'm not really in the mindset of dissecting every lyric. Most times I'm just really listening to the beat, or there's, one verse or a hook that I really like in one of these songs, but it's not like that. When you put all of these things together, just like with the Foxy Brown question, should we start looking at individual lyrics? I mean, you could be like Rick Ross and be rapping about shit that you really don't, you're not really from the streets, but that's what you're rapping about. Or you could be like Jay-Z, who got his street cred because he was, a drug dealer. He did come from the projects. He was a street dude. Biggie, the same thing. Should we be taking these lyrics and looking at them? And so when I was talking to my barber, he was like, no, you really shouldn't. And I was like, well, Ether came out and people believe that what Nas said about Foxy and Jay-Z. And I was like, okay, what do you think about Is That Your Chick? He was like, I like the song. And I was like, well, what if you knew that Is That Your Chick was literally directly everything that Jay-Z was doing to Nas's baby mama? And he was like, what? And I had him listen to the song, and I showed him the lyrics, and I was like, this is what caused Nas to do Ether. I was like, you just knew it as a song. Like, artistically, it sounded good. The beat, the melodies, all that kind of stuff, it sounded good. But on its face, it's not just artistic creativity. This was what was really going on in these people's lives. I got your B up in my Rover, man. I never kiss her. I never hold your hand. In fact, I diss her. I'm a bolder man. I'm a pimper. It's over, man. All of these things were happening in the background in music. And I was like, at this point, I do think it's fair to actually look at some of the things that these people were saying. And so I just started listening to, Watch the Throne, which was Jay-Z and Kanye. And even on its face, R-word and pillage your village, women and children. That was a Jay-Z lyric. We above the law. We don't give a F about y'all. I still hear Fiend scream in my dreams. Now, I was like, when I was talking to my barber, I said, he was a drug dealer, but his brother was also, I believe, on crack. So we don't really know what he heard, but this is art imitating life. And just like what I said about Foxy, we don't know if she was just bullshitting in the song. We don't know if it was for effect, or we don't know if that was her real life, but she said it. I thought this was extremely interesting. If you've been following my channel, I always say that extreme wealth and extreme power corrupts across the board. There's very few people who have reached these insane levels of wealth and power that I don't feel are corrupted. And I said, once you've had every woman or every man, or you've had, every beautiful model, for these people who want more and more and more, and that's their personality and their like carnal desires, you move to other things. And that's when you start getting in trouble. That's when you start getting into the Diddy realm.
To show you how we have fun and stay out of jail too, and make money.
So I saw this lyric and I was like, I feel like this applies. This was a Jay-Z lyric from Watch the Throne. He said, Earth is boring to him. Shit is making my D soft. When you earn hard as me, eventually you hit a big wall. 5, 4, 3, 2, we need fuel to lift off. This could mean a lot of things. Again, I really like that album. However, when we're thinking about very, very rich people who need more and more and more, you would be like, Earth is boring. And just saying Earth is boring to him, making my D soft, it's very on the nose. So he was like, okay, my barber that is. He was like, okay, I kind of see what you're saying. I just don't think you can take stuff so literally. And he was like, not Jay-Z. And I was like, not Jay-Z, because Jay-Z has cultivated a family man image. And he's done it probably better than anybody else, because he did it with the biggest superstar on earth, who Beyonce has, for all intents and purposes, a very, very squeaky clean image. I said, but Jay-Z, the young drug dealer from the projects, was not getting the Beyoncés of the world. Jay-Z was getting other girls from the neighborhood, allegedly. And that's when my barber finally started coming around. I was like, you think Biggie, you think Lil' Kim, you think Faith Evans, you think Charlie Baltimore. But before Biggie was able to cock over and poop on women, like he said in his lyrics, he was dating other girls from around the block, like his daughter Tiana's baby mom. It's always the same thing. We see the models once these men have money, but prior to the models, there was just other people just like them who live regular lives and have regular money. Time and time again, that is what we see. So once the lore of the Golden family dissipates and you kind of just see people as humans, in the human normal world, you date what's around you. We could go on. Kevin Hart's first wife was another, I guess, like more struggling comedian like Kevin Hart. Soon as he got the money, he married, his current wife, even though he allegedly cheats on her. You guys get the point of what I'm saying. These men and women in the industry were not always rich and were not always famous and did not always have access to the Naomi Campbells and everything else that comes with that. They were regular street people with regular wives, regular girlfriends. And after I kind of showed him these things, then my barber was like, I can kind of see. So you never really know with these lyrics. It could just be a simple thing of, this is my art, or it could be some stuff that I've done. Either way it goes, more and more people are going to come out of the woodwork. And I'm really interested to see how you guys interpreted Foxy Brown's own words as it applies to having dated Jay-Z. Either way it goes, thank you guys for being here. Like the video on your way out, and I will see you guys later, probably for a live video.
$99 problems, but now his illegitimate son is going to be
another one.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. Look, Jay-Z innocent till proven guilty based on the recent allegations. But those recent allegations are now prompting us to look at a lot more of Jay-Z, Sean Carter's past. And this is something he's allegedly been trying to Jedi mind trick away from all of us for a long, long time. And this young man is no longer having it. Now, before we even get to the story, just so you take this a little bit more seriously, I want you to look at these photos. Look at this man. I mean, this isn't a question of, maybe. They look similar. Look at them doing the similar poses. It's the nose. It's the forehead. He has such similar qualities to Jay-Z. I mean, tell him he's crazy. This guy looks like Jay-Z. He's not making something up. This is some random groupie out there trying to get a quick payday in my mind. And to be honest, Jay-Z's got some strong genes. Look at Blue Ivy. Looks just like her father. This is a case I think that is hard to deny. There's enough in here to make me wonder, what's Jay-Z hiding? Now, look, everyone should just be demanding to go take a paternity test every time someone comes forward to try to get some money. I understand the rights of Jay-Z's. However, It looks like his lawyers did everything they could to avoid it and to lie about it. And now there may be actual fraud at play. And that's where I take umbrage, because we need to take him for the benefit of the doubt, right? Jay-Z, apparently give him some credibility. But if it's proven that he's lied in the past regarding lawsuits, that's not going to help his case. At least it's not, in my opinion. Let's go through what this man is alleging. Okay, so renewed calls to confirm the paternity of his illegitimate son is another legal blow the rapper is now facing. Record executive, real name Sean Carter, has been named in a civil lawsuit, as we know. He's now been dragged into an ongoing legal tussle over the paternity of Rymir Satterwhite, who has been in decades-long fight to prove that the rapper is his biological father. Rymir is claiming Carter's legal team acted fraudulently during previous attempts to get him to take a paternity test. His late mother, Wanda, and his guardian, Dr. Lily Coley, are listed as plaintiffs on a new lawsuit against multiple New Jersey courts, judges, and officials, including the New Jersey Supreme Court, alleging violations of their constitutional rights. Filed on November 25th, the suit argues that from 2012 to 2023, their rights were violated through fraudulent court actions, which included sealed records, wrongful sanctions, and obstruction of their legal proceedings. And one of his own lawyers had to actually apologize. Wanda, who died in 2019, his mom, alleged that she had relations with Carter in 1992. She was 16. He was 22. Now, there's a sworn affidavit that was given in the Daily Mail, and it proved it. I can show you that here. Here it is. This is, you can sort of pause and read it if you want to, but this sworn affidavit goes into the details about how they met at a party and went to an apartment. It's all consensual, nothing egregious here. But that, they used protection. It didn't work. I guess it broke. What's important here is also, after that happened, Sean returned 2 weeks later to see us girls again, but they only found me since Keisha was moving back home. Sean asked me to leave with him, but I told him I could not because my mother would be upset. I never saw him again until a year later on television, but still had no idea of his real name until later and did not know how to reach him. So that was part of the reason why it took longer to get this sorted out. Now, here's where things took a turn. Now, she alleged that this happened in 2010. She requested that a Pennsylvania court make both men take paternity tests in order to determine her son's real father. Test results proved that Graves, her high school sweetheart, was not the biological father. Case began with a pretrial in Camden County, New Jersey in August 2012. During that pretrial, Carter's attorney argued that Dr. Coley, who had acted as Satterwhite's legal guardian since his mother handed over custody due to ailing health, had no jurisdiction over the case because it was first filed by Wanda in Pennsylvania and therefore should be heard in the same state. So they're already just trying to do annoying legal shenanigans just to get this thing thrown out. The case was dismissed outright because Satterwhite was over 18 years old at the time of the pretrial, and according to Pennsylvania state laws, paternity must be established before the child reaches age of adulthood. However, the court ruled that the case should be tried under New Jersey law, which states that the age of parentage is 23. Carter's legal team then argued that the rapper should be exempt from undergoing the DNA test in New Jersey because he did not live or own any property in the state, despite public records linking him to homes in Alpine and Newport, New Jersey. That's where things take a turn. On December 2012, his attorney in New Jersey, Lise Fisher, admitted that she misspoke when she said that Carter did not own property in New Jersey. In court transcripts, Fisher said, "I submitted as an exhibit to my client's cross motion an introductory statement and verified the introductory statement signed by her that specifically gives Mr. Carter's residence in New York. I did misspeak at the last hearing because I really did think that that was his home address. I didn't realize that was his business address, the other one in New Jersey. So I do apologize for that." He had a residence in New Jersey, and she had to apologize in the court. At the time, Carter's Rock Nation was located in New York. The address that the attorney claimed was his home address. Fisher continued, that having been said, his domicile is in New York. That's what counts. That's where he lives. That's where he resides, and there's nothing that changes that. Well, except for the fact that he owned a residence in New Jersey.
Revolutionary salute to our brother Vincent Brown Sky for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a real life. Appreciate the love, family. To you.
Jersey. So nice try. Hence your apology. Fisher was made aware of Carter's New Jersey properties from the motion for reconsideration that included deeds and tax records. New Jersey law states that an attorney commits fraud when knowingly making false statements, which Fisher did. When fraud is committed in court, everything that follows based on that fraudulent act is considered fraudulent as well, meaning any subsequent rulings or judgments stemming from the initial fraud are typically voidable and can be overturned. So that's the problem here. Why was Sean Carter's team, so quick to get this thrown out? This new lawsuit now claims that the court system conspired to deny the plaintiffs access to essential legal records, improperly imposed sanctions without evidence, and blocked their appeals. They further allege that multiple judges, including Judge Katz, Judge Dortch, and others, committed fraud by misrepresenting property ownership and allowing false claims by Carter and his legal team. Plaintiffs also claim they were repeatedly denied due process and were sanctioned for allegedly violating non-existent gag orders. They are requesting a declaratory judgment to recognize that their constitutional rights were violated and to unseal the court records for public review. The lawsuit also indicates claims for negligent infliction of emotional distress, as the plaintiffs argue that their ongoing legal struggle have caused them significant personal harm. They ask the defendants are held accountable for their actions. They believe the Carter's attorneys have fought vigorously to block him from having to submit a paternity test for one simple reason. Wanda was 16 when she became pregnant. The pair is said to have done this in New York, where it has to be 17, guys. And that's part of the reason why his team has been so viciously
trying to stop this paternity test because she was a minor.
Attempting to ignore this. That's not going to help the case in question that's now being faced. So full circle all around, that's the issue. And I have to stress as well, if you missed yesterday's video, please check it out. We made a whole claim about the fact that there's a topic around this case that I have not mentioned. I've done my due diligence to ensure I don't mention it. But because of the broad topic of the allegation that Jay-Z is facing, all of these videos are getting stamped and blocked. And last night's video that I gave you, the live where I demanded and showed you all what was going on, I want guess what happened to that video, which we didn't talk about anything. We didn't talk about anything yet. Now, guess what? Can you figure out what you think happened? What do you think happened, guys? What do you think happened to last night's live? Oh, I'll show you what happened. Here it is. Sorry, just there it is. Limited. And again, so the video warning you all that it's limited is now also limited. Here's what you can do to help this channel. Join us over on Patreon. In fact, we should be live right now on Patreon doing our Uncensored. We're going to talk uncensored about a lot of stuff, this and more. If you join us on Patreon, you're supporting us directly. You're supporting us off platform as well to ensure that we can still alert you when stuff like this is going afoul, so you can actually get your alerts. All these things are incredibly important. That's why always important to support your creators and other venues. You can also follow me on Twitter, on X. We also have @PopcornPlanets where we post all of our videos as well. Please support. You can follow for free on Patreon, or you can step up and get a level. It is for the Uncensored is for paid members here on YouTube or on Patreon. We will be live right now. We're live every Friday around 12:30. So we will see you there around 12:30 p.m. today.
Better. Welcome back, Golly Vibes family. I pray everybody has been good. Listen, this is going to be another episode on the whole Jay-Z situation. Just when I think it can't get any worse, something pops up. And this story is wild, ladies and gentlemen. Stick to the end. Stick here to the end. And by the time you're done watching this video, you're going to be like, wow. Now, last time I showed you the video, I was asking you, does Jay-Z like little girls, right? I showed you the song with him and Pharrell called Young Girl, where he was talking to a 19-year-old, and that was 2006. Jay-Z was 36, talking about a 19-year-old girl in his verse. Now, here's another interesting story that I had no idea about, and you probably didn't either. Jay-Z has an older son. Jay-Z has an older son. This isn't just somebody that just came out and said Jay-Z's my dad's son. They have been in court for years. And at first, Jay-Z was cooperating, But clearly, the longer time progressed, he got Beyonce, he got his kids. He's like, yo, back up. But this story is crazy, ladies and gentlemen, especially what happens to this kid's mom. Isn't it interesting? When women come up against Jay-Z, for some reason, they end up gone. Stay here. You're going to want to hear this video. So here's the interesting thing. When Jay-Z supposedly got his mother, not even supposedly, when Jay-Z impregnated his mom, Jay-Z was 24, I believe, 24, 25, around there. His mother was 16. Let's start over. Let's bring you guys back. Hallelujah. Let's start over with Jaguar Wright talking about Jay-Z. And by the way, Jaguar Wright is a witch. This is a witch talking about warlocks and witches. I think she know a little something. But watch her say how Jay-Z is worse than Sean Combs. Sean Carter is worse than Sean Combs. Watch this.
Let me ask you this. If you were to name who you think is next on the chopping block, because I believe there's a chopping block and there might be.
Oh, there is. Sean Carter.
Revolutionary salute to our brother Vincent Brown Scott for another donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. I appreciate the love, family. Salute to you. Salute, Queen.
They're trying to avoid him. I'm going to make sure they can't. I have a total of 9 witnesses that are about to start coming forward. I'm going to walk them one by one.
Jaguar just recanted something today. I have a video on that. We're going to get into that. I don't know exactly what all she recanted, but I do have a video loaded with her. Recant something. Seemed like Jay-Z, them people starting to put maximum pressure on her ass.
But the things that these people have to tell and the video evidence and the recordings that they had. Yeah. What? It's worse than Diddy. So I
Worse than Diddy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of psyops.
Stop, man.
A lot of psychological operations being ran on employees, mothers or secret children, interns that refused to sign 9 disclosure agreements. Their lives were literally blown to smithereens. I was lucky to survive him. Aaliyah wasn't. Beyonce wanted. She wanted what he was selling.
She said, I was lucky to survive him. Now, this is Jaguar Wright. We seen her on stage with Jay-Z singing Song Cry. Okay? She knows Jay-Z. She also said she had 9 women personally that had evidence against Jay-Z. She also said that Jay-Z is worse than Sean Combs. What could be worse? If Diddy was messing with young girls, Jay-Z is alleged to be doing the same thing. But what's worse is taking the lives of individuals. What happened to that woman that supposedly had an affair with Jay-Z? You guys know what her name is? Put it in the comments. Now we have this young man who's been going to court for years. Him and his mother and his godmother have been going to court for years with Jay-Z.
The first time I heard that Jay-Z probably was my father when I was 8 years old, my mom came up to me and was like, hey, Rob, I got something to tell you. That's your dad for real. You don't just say this type of person is your father, Jay-Z. It is a part. If you're not the father, why you ain't just get this done and over with? My mom was a dancer. She used to go to a couple concerts with our friends, and basically they went to an apartment building. They relaxed and chilled and had sex.
Has Jay-Z or any of his people tried to reach out to you to maybe squash you from doing these?
I mean, I wouldn't say they trying to stop it, but they definitely don't want it out there. I would say that. It's crazy to me. I'm not asking for no money or nothing. I'm not asking for no handouts or Nothing like that. I work every day. I take care of my family. Only thing I'm asking for, if it's not the truth and there's nothing wrong with the Supreme Court, like, just get it over with. Just get it over with.
Yeah, you just want the answer.
So this man was 8 years old when he found out that Jay-Z was his dad. And ever since then, they've been fighting for him to coming to acknowledgement of it. At first, he was cooperating. I'm going to show you the video of his godmother talking about that. But check this video out right here.
My mom was talking on the phone with the judge and she got real sick and just fell. And I honestly believe that he should have never called her, or that should have never been. Why is you talking to my mom for as a judge or anyone from the court systems? And what was said to make my mom obviously get ill and sick. We took her to the hospital. They checked her out. She got a doctor's note and everything. But it should have never been no judges calling the house phone to talk to my mom, to even speak with her about anything, because what was that for? I honestly don't know what was said and what happened to make my mom even to get ill. But I can honestly say that it was never supposed to happen. And I just want the world to be aware of things that's going on.
I just want the world to be aware of things that's going on. Now, if you've seen the date, it said May 2023. He said his mother fell, went on the phone with the judge. Ladies and gentlemen, his mother is gone now. There's no coincidence, guys. I don't believe in coincidences, because this isn't the first woman whose life was gone after something going on with Jay-Z. Boy, oh boy. There's different individuals who are heartless, ladies and gentlemen. They don't care about your souls. We've seen it with the Prodigy letter. How he found out about the Illuminati stuff as well as Jay-Z. The difference is Prodigy took a different route. Prodigy of Mobb Deep took a different route. And he talked about how Jay-Z took the route with them. He talked about how Jay-Z didn't care about nobody's souls. Next thing we see Jay-Z with a do or thou wilt shirt on. Satanic stuff. We've seen him with Marina Abramovic standing over him. We know that she's a witch. Satanic stuff. He told his wife in his song Family Feud, I told my wife the spiritual stuff really works. Next thing we know, she's in the Yoruba religion. A whole video where she's wearing all yellow in the water, symbolizing she's being born again to be Oshun. Satanic stuff. Now, some of you witches out there might not think that's satanic, but if you're in witchcraft, it's satanic. Now let's hear what his mother had to say from her, right? Mother of Jay-Z, alleged son reveals details of supported affair. Now, this is before she died. We're going to get into how she died right now. But before she died, listen, updated, published May 12th, 2023. Updated May 12th. Look at this, guys. This is May. Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know this was so close. He was on the phone. It said May 3rd, I believe, saying his mother fell. Now you got an issue published of her talking about the affair publicly. Then all of a sudden, watch what happens. Jay-Z alleged 30-year-old son, Ramir Satterthwaite, oh, so he's 31 now, is sharing new details about this purported affair his late mother, Wanda, had with the rapper. Oh, so she already passed at this time. In a signed 2000 affidavit given to the Daily Mail by Ramir, Wanda claims that she met Jay-Z, who at the time went by Rock, in Philadelphia through her friend Kalisha Allen. Affidavit of Wanda Sizworth and Sean Carter relationship. The document, which was signed by a notary public in New Jersey on February 25th, 2015, begins. Then now this is her talking. I, Wanda Satterthwaite, write these allegations about my relationship with Sean C. Carter. I met Sean Corey Carter in fall 1992, and he identified himself as Rock through my friend Kalisha, who is an eyewitness. Now, those who know Jay-Z will know if he identified himself as Rock or not. Mr. Carter and a friend came to Philadelphia to pick up both me and Kalisha around the area of 24th and Bolton Street in Philadelphia, Wanda recalled. Now, this is Wanda. Sean was wearing a black Woolrich hood, jacket, and a hat, and his hair was in a small afro, but once we left his aunt's place, he put on a black leather jacket. She claimed that the group talked, drank, and danced before her girlfriend went off to the room with Sean's friend, and I went with Sean to the other room. Sean and I did have a protected sex, but the protection broke, Wanda wrote about her alleged encounter. She continued in the document that Jay-Z and his unnamed friend returned 2 weeks later to see her and Alan, but Alan was not present because she was having problems at home. Sean asked me to leave with him, but I told him I could not because my mother would be upset. Remember, this girl is a teenager. Sean Carter is grown. She asked me to leave with him, but I told him I couldn't because my mother would be upset, Wanda claimed. I never saw him again until a year later on television, but I had no idea of his real name until later and did not know how to reach him. Although these intimate details of the alleged fling are new, Wanda legally fought until she died in 2019. Okay, so Wanda died in 2019 for Jay-Z to take a paternity test. She died of heart failure at age of 43. Boy, oh boy. So somewhere around the time when her son was saying his mom fell, she must have passed, and that's when she was talking to the judge on the phone, ladies and gentlemen. She must have passed not too long after that. In 2011, Wanda gave Ramir's godmother Lily custody of her son. Both Lily and Ramir have been legally fighting with Jay-Z's team on her behalf since 2012. Jay-Z's legal team has denied Wanda's claims, and he has still never taken a paternity test. Well, maybe this is why. Jay-Z has a whole family, and Jay-Z believes he's God. You do realize that, right? What do you think Jehovah is played on? Jehovah. It's even in the book of Hov.com. He's playing on the Hebrew name of God, Jehovah, but he calls himself Jehovah instead of Jehovah. Jehovah. You catching on? This is why the exposing on this individual happens, especially on this platform. Different blasphemous things like that. You seen the song with him and Beyonce, where he says Hova and she says Jesus, playing on Jehovah and Jesus? You see this trash? These individuals have millions and millions of followers. They absolutely need to be exposed and taken down completely out of their position from influencing more souls, leading them to damnation. I had somebody come on my page the other day saying, I used to like your stuff when it was only talking about godly stuff. What you think I'm doing? I'm taking down the kingdom of darkness. If you don't like it, get off the video. Go to a different one. I got many other videos. We don't want your kind here where you don't want darkness to be exposed. Go somewhere else. Sickening. This individual is the same person who said that Jesus can't save you in his song State of Empire with Alicia Keys on the 3rd verse. He did. This individual right here said Jesus can't save you. Oh, Sean Carter, your world is going to fall. The world you think you have right now, the life you think you have right now, the riches you think you have right now is going to all come crumbling down. And may you be given over to Satan for the destruction of your flesh so your soul may be saved. May you be humbled by the Lord completely. Putting out songs that say Jesus can't save you for millions to hear. Are you out of your mind? Out of your mind. Ramir Saddleworth, who has allegedly he's Jay-Z's son, shares a message from his godmother in response to Jay-Z's statement to Tony Busby. Okay, this is recent, by the way. His godmother says this about Tony Busby, right? Tony Busby is the one who is the lawyer for the alleged victim, 13-year-old who was 13. And interesting enough, Jay-Z wants her face to be revealed. What in the what? What in the world is going on? You want her face to be revealed for what? You're already threatening Tony Busby. What do you want the plaintiff's face to be? Like, you got to really think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Dude's sick. Fully dark in his soul. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? The man is gone, probably fully possessed. A whole house full of spiritual activity that's not of God. So it's demonic. Beyonce's own drummer, who was her drummer for 5 years, filed a restraining order against her for extreme witchcraft. Like, y'all still haven't got it? Anyways, his godmother, in response to Jay-Z's statement to Tony Busby, here is the retyped paragraph. Now, this is what it says below, but it's clear up top. Ramir and I remain unwavering in our fight, inspired by the belief that there are ethical attorneys and judges like Attorney Busby who stand for victims' rights and uphold the principles of fairness. My goddaughter, Wanda Satterthwaite, Ramir's mother, is one such victim. She just wanted her son to be claimed. And he just wanted to know who his dad was, bro. Like, you're not God, bro. You're not God. I don't care about how much money you have. I don't care about how much connections you have. Settle and humble yourself, man. You're not God. I'm glad the humbling is happening. You're not God, bro. You're not Jehovah, bro. May the Lord humble this man. My goddaughter Wanda Satterthwaite Ramir's mother is one such victim. Her story deserves to be heard. It's being heard today. It's being heard today, Ramir. It's being heard today, Wanda. And may this video get out to the masses. Good Lord. And her name must not be forgotten. Let us all remember to say her name, Wanda Satterthwaite. I pray I'm saying it right. Wanda Satterthwaite. Somebody fighting for years for her child. My goodness. Sickening. Now let's see something that actually, let's go to this video real quick of him talking about more about his mother, but I also want you guys to see his godmother talk about what happened in court as well. It's about a 7-minute clip, but I want you guys to check it out.
How do you view him now?
I wouldn't know what to say, but at this point, that we men at the end of the day, it's no hard feelings against you. Don't think somebody come listen. You can, if it's true, it's true. If it's not, you could have been got this done with. But only thing I'm asking is, I don't want no money from you. You know, if you want to have that relationship, if it was true, that's just on you. You know, I'm just showing you that I'm fighting for what I believe in is right, and I want all the kids and everyone that come behind me. If you missing the parents, it's all about. Sometimes that's all you need to know what your parents is. You don't need nothing from them. It close the book. It just helped me.
He don't want no money from Jay-Z. He grown now. His mother ain't about to get child support. He just want to know if it's his father. But watch what the godmother says when she gets on here. Watch, ladies and gentlemen. Watch to the end of this video.
You know, go on with my life and just be straight. It's not like I'm looking for anything, looking for you to bring me up where you at or bring me with your family and all. I still got my own family, but I just want you to be like, just think about it. Like, we could have got this, over with, and through all this, I still respect you, even though I might not like you. And when I say I don't like you, it's not even, it's just that I feel like, y'all sit at the top and y'all forgot where y'all came from. And sometimes you got to bring yourself down to the bottom. You can't sit at the top and think all these, I'm rich and all that. And if I go to court, this would affect this. And sometimes you just got to get it over with. If you believe this wasn't true, it would have been over with, And for you to let me just sit here and after all this, my mom passed away. And I'm not saying you physically, but dragging us to court and all that, not taking care of the problem. It's just, you let it happen. So it's like, you could have been got this over with. If it wasn't true, we could have, I would apologize. I apologize in front of the world. Hey, it could have been done, but obviously it's something you hide. And I just want you to say, man, have that respect. Have that respect. This is respect, more respect. I don't hate you. I don't hate nothing you doing. I don't hate your family. I don't hate Beyonce, none of them. It's just, if it's true and if you can fix the problem, fix the problem. That's all I'm asking. Because obviously these courts is not going to fix the problem. I don't know if you're doing anything with them.
Money.
I don't know if you know what I mean. I don't know if you slide somebody a check underneath or y'all, whatever y'all doing, but fix the problem. Because I don't want people to view me as I'm crazy or I'm chasing Jay-Z, this 30-year-old man chasing. That's not what it is. Like, my life got purpose. And regardless of the case getting finished or not, this could be going on for 20 years. I'm still going to live my life. And I just hope that,
Listen, we're going to hold right here. We're going to bring you back, though.
Yeah,
but I'm going to bring in your godmother, okay? Because she's, been at the knee hip with your mom. And she kind of knows she's been in the paint with your mom with this. She's taken a lot of financial hits because of this.
All the legal stuff.
Jay-Z and stuff they have been trying to take her home.
Yeah.
And all of that. And so we're going to bring in Dr. Lily. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were trying to give him a career?
Yeah.
To do what?
Well, Jay-Z ain't crazy. He realized this child is mine. He knew. But at the end of the day, and he got a lot of enemies, right?
Yeah.
I need to get somebody on my side. So I believe, this is what I discerned, that he wanted, his child to be with him and make sure he takes care of him. Blah,
so
blah,
they
blah.
were going to pay him through the label as like maybe an employee or something.
Well, let me back up. So the mother did the thing in 2010, right?
Okay.
Then here comes 2011. I'm in New Jersey. I take the kid, go to the court to try to get custody. And I did get it.
Okay.
In that mix, he got served because I was trying to do the custody and the college support. Because by then he's older in New Jersey. That's what it's called, right?
Okay.
So he gets the information, and make the long story short, we start talking, me talking with his in-house attorneys. And we're trying to resolve the matter. So in the resolving one of them was, I want my kid. So the way something might have gotten his head and he left his heart. Because at one point he was trying to do what was in the best interest of Ramir, which was good. And I was making the decision when I got custody, because the judge told me two things. He said, get the kid out of high school, because he was still in high school. And he said, get him health insurance. That's what I was ordered to do. And that's what I did. And in that, he was like, in between that, he was like, they were thinking about bringing Ramir on the label. I said, no, I don't think he should go on the label now. He got to get out of high school. And I'm glad I did, because Ramir felt that this might not have been to his advantage, but this is what was going on then. So when we were in Jersey, that took place. So here, the mother's gravely ill. I'm taking care of the kid. We're doing what we got to do. And then that was 2011. So then in 2012, I had to go back to Philadelphia to get the paternity stuff transferred to New Jersey, because there was a little paperwork blips. And that's when the drama came. That's when Mr. Carter's attorneys comes into court in 2012 and say, hey, you can't ask me to do no college support and nothing, because he ain't got no contacts with the state of New Jersey. No properties, no nothing. Well, we knew that was wrong. And at the time I had an attorney. My attorney took the things that this other attorney said and relied upon it, which were lies. As a result, I told him, I said, I know his properties in New Jersey and he's connected, etc. So
basically he was just saying the court didn't have jurisdiction.
Right. Personal or subject, because you need both, but you only need one, personal jurisdiction, if you're just trying to do paternity. Because there was some drama between the two states. Okay, with some unfinished business, no problem. Let's just talk about the paternity and get that part closed.
So they said they wanted you to move the case to New York.
New York didn't come till later. One of the judges or one of the attorneys recommended us to go to New York. And we originally started to do that, but then we changed our mind because they said it was going to be too much chaos and crazy. And he had
New York courts are slow.
Right. And they said they had other contacts where he could be brought into court on, and New Jersey was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing was that I lost $3,000 plus in attorney fees when his attorney decided she wanted to come on a lie and boom and swing that around. And as a result, according to New Jersey's law, I'm entitled to my attorney fees back. So when we became aware, which was right afterwards, that he had properties, we had about 4 or 6. And I had 2 properties in New Jersey. One I lived in with Ramir and another one. So we went back to them and said to the court that this is what happened. And that's when all this crazy stuff. Now, by the way, they had the DNA all along. In fact, they got the DNA in 2011.
So they have Jay-Z's blood?
No, Ramirez.
Okay.
They don't do the blood, right? New Jersey just do the swab. Right.
And the
So they say, no problem. If you don't believe you the father, go down the hall. And if you don't go, in the state of New Jersey, you're presumed the father. So technically, he's not alleged. He is presumed the father of Ramir Satterwhite.
So he is presumed the father of Ramir Satterwhite. Now, the whole reason I even bring that story up is to show how it coincides with one of my first questions from my last video, which was, does Jay-Z like little girls? It coincides because Jay-Z was 23, 24 when he had intercourse with Ramir's mother, which was 16. Listen, I don't know about you, but when I was 23, 22, I wasn't looking at no 15, 16-year-olds, okay? That is a young fetish, ladies and gentlemen. Then we seen the whole Nas thing where Nas was saying that Jay-Z was aware that minors were in the studio with R. Kelly. We also seen Jay-Z and R. Kelly go on tour, made songs together around that same time, even when the lawsuits were being filed against R. Kelly about that young girl that he made the tape with. Boy, oh boy, it's all coming out. It is all coming out. Tony Busby also tweeted yesterday, investigators from New York have called many of our law firm's current and former clients. Boy, oh boy, they are panicking. What they didn't anticipate was one of the clients decided to record the conversation. It's shocking and illegal. Here's a portion taken from the transcript. Investigator, in a couple of days, or maybe by next week, anyone Googling Busby and his company, his practice, are going into litigation, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to put this thing together for the company that we're working for. We can get you paid. You can get money, right? You can get money right soon, you know? We gave this kid $1,000 to start yesterday just to get him on the right path. And at the end of the day, this is going to go through the courts. Busby is getting sued. These guys are on tape offering to pay clients to sue our law firm. That's a crime. Busby ain't playing. Y'all keep playing with Busby like he's some kind of joke out here. You know, this is an official lawyer. No. Busby's not a game. And you got people out there playing with Busby like he's a game. Look up Tony Busby. Busby ain't playing out here. You guys are playing games with Busby like he's afraid of something. Busby ain't joking. Y'all keep adding fuel to the flame. My goodness. May the truth come out, ladies and gentlemen. May the truth come out on all of them. Jeffrey Epstein had a thing with little girls. R. Kelly had a thing with little girls. P. Diddy going to court in May, but there's a lot of different victims, many who are little girls and little boys. Boy, oh boy. The diddler situation is crazy. Now you got Jay-Z out here who allegedly had a thing for little girl. At this point, he got a song with Pharrell called Young Girl. Girl was 19, he was 36. Now I get she was legal, but I'm just saying you can see how he has a thing for little girls. When I'm 36, I'm not about to be looking at 19-year-olds, my guy. And if you're somebody in the comments who was 36 looking at 19-year-olds, you got a young fetish as well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a kid. Freshly out of high school, bro. Like, if you're 36 looking at a 19-year-old or 18-year-old, something's off. At least to be within a relationship, something's off, bro. Good grief. Jeffrey Epstein, R. Kelly, P. Diddy. Now you got Sean Carter.
TMZ is reporting 3 new accusers against Diddy. But have you guys noticed they seem to be leaning more towards Diddy and Jay-Z? Well, YouTube sure is. We need to discuss. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and what a panel we have. It's Kim, and the dopest nerd just joined us, Natanya. Welcome. How you doing, Natanya?
Fantastic and spectacular as always. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. I saw you watching our live. If you missed our live, you can now become a member on our Patreon, and I'm going to tell you why it's so important you join our Patreon. And now we're doing our recap because there was a lot we went through, including these 3 new statements. But TMZ weirdly skipped one. We're going to come to there in a second. I don't want to bury the lead. There's an important thing here. Kim and I were talking earlier, Natanya, but it sure feels like as this Jay-Z story is developing, and granted, Jay-Z is innocent till proven guilty. He is, just like everybody else. We got to remind everybody and do that. It's important. However, there are definitely some questions that need to be asked and some stuff that's coming forward that seems a little strange. But TMZ's been out there, and I've noticed it, Kim. You were saying you did too. TMZ's been very pro Jay-Z and very anti-Tony Busby. It's very noticeable, and it's just similar to what they were doing to Britney Spears. They definitely have their favorites, and they do things that are it just seems like unethically, morally corrupt. My opinion, my conspiracy theory. And another example of it was this new case. They left out the details that one of them was his assistant, and a lot of really interesting details that I think are very valid, as Kim pointed out, and they did. But beyond just Jay-Z seemingly having TMZ in his potential back pocket, or at least his legal team, I'm here to warn you that it looks like YouTube is now doing it too. Now, I tweeted this out early this morning because I was having trouble with one of my videos. It was the breaking news alert about Jay-Z. And there's a lot of details that I went into the longer show. If you want to become a member, you can watch the replay over on Patreon, but I'll try to sum it up again a little quicker. The way it works on YouTube is if you post a video and it has something that they deem not appropriate for advertisers, they stamp it with a yellow $sign and they call it limited. Now, this isn't about money. I'm not about trying to make the money. It's about when the video gets limited, YouTube can't get as much advertising revenue, so they suppress the video. They don't share it as widely as the ones that they can make more ad revenue on. So the videos tend to always get more suppressed when a video is limited. I see it happen all the time. I've had videos that are skyrocketing and then boop, yellow sign comes in and then suddenly it just becomes more stagnant. It's just sadly the way YouTube works. And it sure feels like now, as I'm looking in my back door of my algorithm, my analytics, somebody seems to be using this for their advantage. And this was an example I want to spotlight you, and I have more evidence I'm about to present to you, but they basically, YouTube came back to me. Once they yellow you, you can challenge it, and then they give you a human reviewer who's supposed to actually look at it fairly. This human reviewer didn't do it. I say quotes in human reviewer because it's clearly still an AI person or somebody that's not really paying attention. And I put in here that, yeah, this was content that related to preventing controversial issues, which it is. Controversial issues mentioned fleetingly, non-graphic, non-descriptive. That's what it was. But they decided, no, you mislabeled it. Your video actually is content about controversial issues that are not visually disturbing, but contain descriptive language, dramatized, artistic, educational. yada, 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 of controversial, non-graphic, non-descriptive, but main topic related to child A, non-graphic, but descriptive content related to, look at those words, which it wasn't. This was literally just a video breaking down Jay-Z's, yes, there was a bad charge, but I literally blocked it out. I covered it. Is this the one? I think this is it. I literally blacked it out, as you can see here, with a highlight. And I didn't put it in the title. I made sure that none of those triggering words were put in the video. But YouTube has now deemed it limited. Here's the problem. They're doing it to now all my Jay-Z videos. As I share these the back end of what it looks like, these yellow dollar signs are limited. The ones that are green are regular. And look at this. Now 3 big Jay-Z videos suddenly have just gotten stagnant, almost as if like somebody mass reported it. But if you're thinking, Andy, no, it's just the topic. It's about kids. That's why it's dangerous. I want you to look at this next topic. Underage, green. Breaking allegations, 10-year-old, green. Shocking judge grants gag order, green. Diddy freak off tapes revealed, show, green. So when it's Diddy and kids, we're cool. When it's Jay-Z, we got to stop that down. We got to, whoa. Not Jay-Z. This is crazy. Now, again, this is my theory. This is my thought, but I share the evidence with you, Exhibit A, because this looks friggin' shady. This looks super sketchy. This looks like some shenanigans, like some sort of potential legal team or somebody that's very good at their job, some sort of purple dragon, maybe somebody out there who's really good at what they do realize, can I weaponize the YouTube limited system to try to suppress my clients' videos so they don't get as much traction, and use the sort of arbitrary rules to sort of try to get through it? Panel, I go to you, and I want to hear from you first, Natanya. Am I crazy? Have you noticed this? And does this look wild to you?
At all. I have some yellow dollar signs as well for my Jay-Z.
Around Jay-Z?
Yep.
Now, did you have the greens during Diddy?
Yeah, I still have the greens.
So it's Jay-Z now is what's suddenly getting stopped up.
Yep. And I challenged mine today too.
And what? Get ready. The human reviewer is going to find some sort of arbitrary. Well, you're talking about kids, so sorry. But it's like, I assume you're doing the same thing. You're not going into detail or saying the words, right?
I'm meticulous with avoiding the fray. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And now, oddly enough, I had one on my Trump video as well. But I challenged it to the hill. And they came back a week later and said, after further review, you're right. It's fine.
Thank you because that's the problem. I've had others, and then that's what happens. But Jay-Z's aren't getting cleared. Nope. Sorry. Nope. They're not. And then I asked on YouTube, and then he just gave me the runaround. There's actually, you can see it here. One of their responses, blah, blah. I put it all out there, and the response, it's not, I don't know why it's not. Here it is. Thanks for reaching out. If you think our system made a mistake, then, submit a human review. It's like, they don't even read it. They don't even, it's hello. It's right here. Human review. Here it is. The human reviewer found. So they're not paying attention. And that's what's problematic for me is the fact that, Kim, I want to get you to chime in. This isn't about the money. Everyone's going to say, Andy, stop complaining. You're not making money. No. It's about suppressing the news and getting you the insight. That's what's scary. And if YouTube or some other high-powered lawyer, allegedly, or anybody can do that, well, then they can start censoring your news. And that's where it gets scary. Right, Kim?
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of ran into this a little bit last year when I covered a story actually about a YouTuber that was in hot water over the way that they had interacted with their young fans, even at concerts and things like that, and sending them undergarments and things of that nature. And what literally ended up happening was, if I said the person's name, limited. If I showed their face in the thumbnail, limited. It got to the point I started using a symbol to represent them in my thumbnail because it got so ridiculous. And literally, we would be streaming. I would have my intro playing, just literally the stream is starting, limited.
You're talking about Ukulele Girl.
Yes. So I honestly got to a point where I had to get really, really careful with everything that I was saying about it. But I felt very strongly about talking about this issue. And I think it is important that we talk about these issues. And I learned a lot through that process. And every time I challenged, I won. But it got very frustrating because it was like my videos never got promoted. They were never like in recommended or anything like that because they got limited immediately. Because I
Correct.
was trying to raise awareness about this and it was very frustrating. So I don't think that necessarily, like, maybe it is someone is upset about something and
purple
they've gone
dragon?
to YouTube about it. Maybe, I don't know. But at the same time, it also, is it an advertiser issue? And is this something that maybe YouTube needs to address? Because I think if people are hurting kids, we should be able to talk about it.
And
Because
another
I mean, it could be that purple dragon. Anyway, so go ahead.
another perspective to consider is it exemplifies exactly what I've said for the 25 years. They will continue to press down on you, punch down on you, harass you. The purpose is to make you tap out. I've lived it.
Yeah.
There is a million little cuts until, you're just leaking. And it's unfortunate because there are some people who are more resilient. We are more resilient. There are other people who may not be as resilient and they just quit and give up. And then it says another thing, you guys, it means your page is big and people are watching you.
It is a good sign that they are starting to pay attention. I do believe I've learned that through my various experiences in covering Johnny and elsewhere. It's true. Like we are lucky enough that we're getting seen as you have been, because you've really been through it. They're terrified of you. But look, it's part of what's scary. It's why earlier today we promoted it and I'm doing it again. Join our Patreon if you haven't already. That's a way to do it off of YouTube. It's another way to get the alerts. They only take 5%, thankfully. YouTube takes 40% of all of our revenue. So if you join here or super chat here or anything you do through YouTube, they take a huge cut of our revenue. And so the Patreon actually is a way to support us monthly without that. So we get more of your support. But it's also, more importantly, as a way for us to be able to contact you and alert you, give you exclusives. Our uncensored shows every week will be uncensored tomorrow. If you've missed Popcorn Uncensored, it's fire. Kim and I go all off we join either here or there, and you'll be able to catch us live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll be on Patreon as well, where we go uncensored. We don't worry about any of the filters or things. We just go where we want to go. But Patreon is just a really good way to support us, so we can alert you if YouTube keeps going south. You can alert us there, and you can support us directly via that way and through our link tree, which has ways to support us all other ways. Please follow us: Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can. If you can't afford it, I understand. You can also join for free on Patreon. All the links will be pinned in the comment down below. So go to the pinned comment, click the link tree, support the Patreon, or go scroll down. You can Cash App, etc. Instagram, Twitter, all the ways to support us. And again, the reason why it's so important is as we get just getting started on this case, as we get to you, I want to make sure I can reach out to you. Now, that said, coming in real quick as we're recapping, 3 more accusers came in. Sadly, it's through TMZ and the filings aren't yet out, so it's hard to get in too much detail. But as TMZ wrote it, they're trying to make you think it's Tony Busby, but they're not. Right, Kim? There are some new lawyers that came forward, a new lawyer, New York lawyer, who came forward, and TMZ is trying to confuse matters, clearly. Similar stories, but they go through and sort of share some examples, but they failed to point out that, one of them apparently was his assistant, Diddy's assistant, who was in for unpaid wages and at a hotel where there could be hotel footage, other witnesses, and then there was intimidation afterwards, which you know about as well, Natanya. This case definitely had more details that they didn't want to share, because I do think TMZ is helping both Diddy and Jay-Z. And it's very interesting that this is now coming in. On top of that, there was some more information about the notebooks. That seems like they finally agreed on some terms there on the committee, the filler team, but also Diddy got his laptop. That also happened today. He can get it 7 days a week, 8 to 3:30. I don't think he's going to be using it. I think he was just delaying things to try to get a laptop. And when he quickly realizes all it has is pre-labeled stuff that he's never going to read, he's probably like, why can't I go on the web? But it's clearly locked down and he can't share anything off it. But those are the latest updates, and we will give you more as it comes in. But I want to go back to you each during our recap. Kim, thoughts? What do you think about all this? Do you think this case is starting to get compromised?
I hope it's not. I mean, it's entirely possible. I think what we're talking about today, it is our speculation, it is our opinion based on what we've seen. I would hope that we are not going to be censored in that manner. And I just want the truth to come out. I think that's the most important thing. And we try really hard here to make sure that we look at evidence, we look at legal filings, we look at all of those things to come to our conclusions, and also just to present it to our viewers. And you guys can make up your own mind. You don't have to think about things the way that we do. It's commentary. And I feel like we should have the right to commentate. That's my opinion. That's all.
I agree.
Natanya, is it compromised?
While I don't think it's completely compromised, I can see the slow trajectory in that direction. And that's why I, did the live I did today, asking content creators to exhibit a lot more self-control and tact and decorum in reporting the stories. Like, don't center yourselves and make yourself the story because you lose sight of the victims. I've watched this occur 20-something years ago during the first trial, and yet here we are again. And now that social media is here, it's even worse. So I want people to just take a pause and think about the victims, keep the victims in mind.
Yeah, well said. There's a lot coming in throughout this case, and we were going to keep you privy to it all, but I am worried. We were talking about it earlier, and I'm curious while we discuss all of this, like Busby isn't these, which is great, but Busby's also come forward now and said he's going to have 300 cases. Do you have concerns about that? Is that too much? Could he lose focus and actually represent those victims fairly if he has 300 of them and it's not a class action suit?
So you're 100% right. I actually said that in one of my earlier lives when this whole, hotline and all this came out. I said, it's ill-advised. It seems gimmicky. And I was a little suspect of him at first because I said, what reasonably level-headed attorney would do something like that? It's like having too many kids. If you spread yourself too thin and you have too many kids and too many different mothers, somebody's going to lose out.
Yeah,
And
Nick Cannon.
There you go. If you water yourself down too much, you cannot give a good quality of life and interaction to each respective child as you should have. And so the same goes for the legal case. I think it would have been, now I do understand that there are a couple other law firms that are assisting, and I hope that they really mete it out to a bunch of different attorneys and help them grow, and he have an overarching look at the information rather than to just try to do all at the same time, because I think it's poor. It's a poor decision.
He probably a range of 300, but it could ultimately be about 100, 150. Yeah, it's interesting.
Still a lot.
It's still a lot. It worries me.
Yeah, my civil trial took 12 years to settle. So having that many trials, and I know how they operate. They will try to drag everything out because that's how they operate. 12 years to settle 3 cases. Myself and the 2 other gentlemen. And then in year 6, 3 additional women added themselves to the case saying that they had gotten injured too. I don't even know where those women are. 3 additional women added themselves, and they said they kind of tripped and, things like that. But it's a slippery slope, and you can easily lose sight of the victims if you take on too much. And I just want them to think wise, because they are crafty. These guys are crafty, and they have a full machine behind them trying to make this go away. You see all the fray already, and we're just starting.
Yeah.
Well said. And there you go. We're wrapping up our live. It was a doozy. Make sure you go check out the full replay on Patreon. That's where
like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GGB Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have yourself to blame, y'all. Cricket TV and a weapons make you suckers rock. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth on LGBT. We are the underground outfit, y'all. We built this whole thing by ourselves, so in y'all. Independence of self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yep, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, you guys, right back at this. I didn't even know I was going to come back, but I just got some more news. So just double right back, man. Like, share, subscribe, ring that bell so that you guys will be updated whenever I release video content on the channel. If you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Share the video. After you hit the subscribe button, you'll see a bell. Hit that bell. And you'll see an all button. Hit the all button. That way you guys will get all the updates whenever I release video content on the channel. Press 1 if y'all can hear me in the comments, man. Let me get a mic check real quick. We can get right into this video, man. If y'all can hear me, press 1. Let me get a mic check real quick. Get right into this video right now. All right? Get right into this video right now, you guys. Y'all can hear me? All right, bet. Salute. Appreciate that. All right, let's get into this. So, evidence. We talked about evidence today in the video we did earlier today. We talked about evidence. And now, since everybody says they want to see evidence, according to reports, Tony Busby says he's going to show evidence. According to reports, Jay-Z accuses lawyer insists that evidence is forthcoming amid these allegations. Tony Busby said he has evidence and he's going to bring it forward. Now, according to reports, shout out to allhiphop.com, or hotnewhiphop.com, excuse me, for the article. Says Tony Busby accuses Jay-Z of outright illegal conduct. Now, says earlier this week, an anonymous woman amended her lawsuit against Diddy, in which she now accuses both the Bad Boy founder and Jay-Z of sexual assault. She claims the alleged assault took place at a party in 2000 when she was only you-know-what years old. It says, of course, the explosive allegations have garnered big reactions online. Jay-Z wasted no time before addressing them in a lengthy statement. He accuses the lawyer representing the alleged victim, Tony Busby, of being a fraud. He also alleges that the lawsuit is a blackmail attempt, fervently denying the allegations. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations, and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. The statement reads in part, "No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny," said Jay-Z. Now, before I go on in this article, I should also mention that Tony Busby has also revealed that he has filed to the person, Black Rulership says still no proof. I won't even argue about that. If you don't understand by now, ain't nothing to say. Straight up. Tony Busby has stated that he has filed all these lawsuits as anonymous. But he said that in all of the lawsuits, he says that the people who are actually making the accusations against Jay-Z, if the judge says they have to give their ID, their identification, he says that all of them are willing to reveal their identification and come forward. So right now, he said he's filing them all as, anonymous, John Doe's. But he says that if the judge says that, hey, they gotta, reveal their identity, he says they have no problem with revealing their identity, all of them that are accusing these people. This is what Tony Busby said. The article goes on. It says that According to All Hip Hop, Busby has now denied these allegations and accused Jay-Z of illegal conduct. To be clear, my firm and I categorically deny all of these baseless allegations levied by Mr. Carter and his counsel in these letters, he said. In response to these allegations, we will respond in due course in time through memoranda of law and appropriate means to the legal issues at hand, as well as the accusations raised by Jay-Z and his lawyer. We will also address verifiable improprieties, right, committed by defense counsel, by Jay-Z and his lawyers. Outright illegal conduct, he says, which we have actual evidence, rather than vague hearsay declarations, he also added. For the moment, we simply want to timely inform the court that such responses will be forthcoming. It seems like Tony Busby, Jay-Z and his people basically said that he was trying to shake them down and that he had demanded money and tried to blackmail them and all of these things. And Tony Busby says that he's the hell with all this. He said he's going to go show the judge all of the proof. Right now, they have multiple filings in court. They're going back and forth right now in court with multiple filings. And he says that he's going to put the evidence in court. He's going to send the evidence right to the judge, right? He's going to release the evidence against Jay-Z and his lawyer. Say he's not going to do no more talking as far as the, this situation right here. He said he's going to release the evidence. And so, again, he says we will also address the verifiable improprieties, right? Matter of fact, let me put that on the screen because I know just in case they say I'm trying to cap, put this on the screen. And also, I want to say this to you guys as well. There was a picture that's online from that night they accused of this situation. And there's a certain woman that's standing with Diddy in that picture. I'm not going to say her name, but everybody knows who she is. A lot of people thinking that could be the celebrity, the other celebrity. Who knows if that is or isn't. But if it is, this situation is about to get real diabolical because, as I told y'all, Tony Busby did not name that other celebrity, and he didn't do it for a reason. He didn't do it for a reason. You do the math. So when we talk about this whole situation, we got to figure out what's going on. To the person who said Foxy in the comment section, no, not her. And anybody thinking it's Beyonce, no, not her. I just leave it at that. As you guys see on y'all screen, I put that right there from the article. On your screen, put it right there from the article so y'all can see it. It says, we will also address verifiable improprieties committed by defense counsel. That means Jay-Z and his lawyers. Outright illegal conduct. So they're saying that Jay-Z's lawyers have committed outright illegal conduct as well, for which we have actual evidence rather than vague hearsay declarations. He also alleged, for the moment, we simply want to timely inform the court that such responses will be forthcoming. And so Tony Busby is about to bring forth evidence of his claims in the aftermath of these allegations against Jay-Z and his lawyers. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I believe Tony Busby is going to, first of all, send a copy of that letter that he sent Jay-Z, right, and his lawyers to the court. And then we're going to see if it was a shakedown. We're going to see if it was a request for mediation and not a shakedown or a demand for money, because Jay-Z's lawyers wrote in their writing, is I'll put that on the screen as well, because y'all know I keep receipts. They wrote that Tony Busby tried to shake them down for millions and millions of dollars. They said, or else reveal the identity and come with all these allegations, I should say. See, that's Jay-Z's lawsuit against Tony Busby right there. It says, introduction. The plaintiff, John Doe, who is Jay-Z, is the victim of a scheme by defendant Anthony G. Busby and his firm, the Busby Law Firm. That's Tony Busby, who are shamelessly attempting to extort exorbitant sums from him or else publicly file wildly false, horrific allegations against him. So Jay-Z's lawyers made allegations that Tony Busby tried to extort them. Tony Busby says he's going to send the evidence to the court that he did not. It says that the defendants have threatened to unleash entirely fabricated and malicious allegations of sexual assault, including multiple instances of R word and M, both male and female, against Jay-Z if he refuses to comply with their demands. These baseless accusations, nothing more than a weapon of calculated plot to destroy Jay-Z's high-profile reputation for profit, despite the complete absence of factual basis for such claims. Tony Busby says that he's not only willing to reveal the identity of the accuser, which is going to be major because I'm going to tell y'all one thing. There is a picture that's going around online. There's a picture that's going around online that's supposed to be of that night of allegedly Diddy talking and inviting. It's a video, I should say. And nobody knows that that's the same person. But if the judge orders that identity to be revealed, if you saw that video online, press 1. If you saw that video I'm referring to right now, press 1. There's a video that has been released online from that night where Sean Combs is inviting one of the people to come to the after party. You can go see that video online right now. In fact, I'll put a link to it in the comment section. Now, everybody is speculating whether or not that is the person or not. Nobody knows because the identity has not been revealed by Tony Busby. But Tony Busby says that if the court requests him to release the identity of that person, he said he will. Now, I had somebody ask me, well, why didn't he file Jay-Z earlier? Because Tony Busby told you from the beginning. Shout out to Lisa Landry with the donation and the cash app. Salute to you. He told you in the beginning that he was only going to bring any people's names up if he had evidence. Evidence. Right? Right? That's what he said. He says, until I have enough evidence of where I can go along with it, I'm not going to do it. Now, what I'm going to do is to you guys, and again, you will only find out this information if the judge says that this person's identity has to be released. Now, they've already asked, and Jay-Z's team has asked for the identity of this person to be released, right? And I'm going to put the link to the video in the comment section. Now, I don't know if this is this person or not. The same person, right? But I do know one thing. This whole situation just looks unbelievable. Now, again, I don't know if this is a person or not. So, I'm just going to tell y'all like this. But Tony Busby did come forward yesterday, and he did say that for any of the clients that are accusing any of these people of crimes, he said that they will file them as Jane Does to protect them initially. But he says that if the judge asks or requests for their identities to be revealed, he will reveal the identities. He said that the people who are making the allegations have agreed all to reveal their identities if the court asks them to reveal their identities. And then that will tell you who this person is. That will tell you. Again, me personally, I'm only on one side of whatever the truth is. Other than that, I don't care. If you're a celebrity, not a celebrity, rich.
Jay-Z and Diddy are considered to be the elite in hip-hop. They both became billionaires off hip-hop and created massive empires. Diddy and Jay were seen as untouchable forces in the music industry. No one in their right minds would go after these two. If anyone dared, they would not only be putting their careers at stake, but their lives as well. This still didn't stop one man from taking them both on at the same time. That one man is the lawyer Tony Busby, who is single-handedly taking on the titans of hip-hop. Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos every other day exposing the truth. In today's episode, we will be talking about the lawyer Tony Busby and his legal battles against Jay-Z and P. Diddy. But before we begin, I just wanted to let my patrons know a new exclusive video about Marina Abramovich drops later today. So if you're one of my Patreon members, be on the lookout for that video. Thank you all. Now, let's get right into it. Right now, one man has taken on the responsibility of going after two of the most powerful men in the music industry. That man is no other than the lawyer Tony Busby. Tony Busby is representing several clients who are suing Diddy for a long list of crimes against them, while for the most part, Tony was only going after Diddy. All that changed last Sunday when he officially refiled a lawsuit he had against Diddy to add no other than Jay-Z. This meant that not only was Busby going after billionaire Diddy, but now also the billionaire Jay-Z, two men that most people would think twice before going against. However, Busby has made it clear that he isn't afraid and is willing to get justice for his clients, even if it means putting his life at risk. Now, before we go any further, I want to acknowledge that Busby is a lawyer and that what he is doing is definitely money-driven. I wouldn't call him a hero, but I would say that he's a necessary force. Just like nurses, police officers, and doctors wouldn't be doing the good they do for free. It's the same with Busby. Although he's in it for money, he's still standing up to some very powerful people for a good reason. I don't think most lawyers would take on a case suing Jay-Z. Diddy was a different story because Cassie had already sued him and got a settlement. Cassie clearly had countless amounts of evidence against Diddy, and it's the reason her lawyer took on her case. Cassie's lawyer sued Diddy, and he settled immediately because of the amount of evidence she had. We know that Cassie had plenty of evidence because not only did Diddy settle, but the feds then used Cassie to press criminal charges against Diddy. So at that point, any lawyer would have taken on Diddy's lawsuit from Cassie. However, when it comes to Jay-Z, not only is Jay more powerful than Diddy, but he is known for playing dirty behind the scenes. This is actually the reason Busby publicly sued Jay-Z, because Jay was working behind the scenes to get this lawsuit dismissed before he was even named. Now, before we talk about Busby's fight against Jay-Z and Diddy, let's talk about some of the other high-profile battles Busby has had over the years. Busby began his legal career back in the 2000s when he created his Busby law firm. By 2010, he was named the most successful trial lawyer in Texas by the New York Times for his role as one of the lawyers who took on BP after the Deepwater horizontal oil spill. After this, Busby represented over 21 victims of the NFL player Deshaun Watson. These 21 victims, which were all massage therapists, sued the NFL player for SA. This all started when one massage therapist sued Deshaun on March 16, 2021, after she claimed she was hired to give him a massage at her home. While giving him a massage, she alleged that he pulled out his junk and touched her with it while telling her he wanted to hook up with her. After this, 21 other victims started coming forward, alleging the same type of behavior coming from Deshaun. It appeared that Deshaun was behaving very similar to Diddy. Eventually, a criminal investigation was opened, which was dropped after the prosecutor refused to press charges. Deshaun would end up being reprimanded by the NFL, who fined him $5 million and gave him an 11-game suspension for his disturbing behavior. He was recently sued again in 2024 by a woman who claims he R-worded her. After taking on this case, Tony Busby took on an even bigger case, representing the victims of the 2021 Astroworld tragedy. Back in 2021, Travis Scott held his annual Astroworld Festival, while thousands of fans turned up to have a great time and listen to their favorite artists perform. Things went completely left after too many tickets were sold and not enough security was hired. This led to a massive crowd crush that was fatal, causing several people to pass away and several others to get injured. I covered all of this when it happened, and I pointed out the strange satanic imagery surrounding this festival that made me believe it was way more than too many tickets sold and lack of security. But that's a different tale for a different day. Busby filed a $750 million lawsuit against Travis Scott on behalf of 120 victims that either passed away or were injured due to Travis Scott's Astro Festival. Travis Scott and all the others responsible tried to file an order for dismissal, trying to get the case thrown out, even though Travis was clearly responsible for this tragedy. Eventually, this lawsuit was settled, with the last lawsuit being settled earlier this year. As you can see, Tony isn't new to taking on big, powerful people, but all of these people fail in comparison to P. Diddy and Jay-Z, two of the most powerful men in hip-hop and the music business. So this fight wasn't going to be easy for Tony, but he wasn't going to quit without putting up a fight. Tony Busby started this war representing several victims of Diddy. Before he officially sued Diddy, he let the world know during a press conference that he was planning on filing hundreds of lawsuits against Diddy, even opening up a hotline for other Diddy victims to reach out and potentially file their lawsuits. In the press conference he hosted about Diddy, he stated that Diddy had several victims that were underage when they suffered at the hands of him. He vowed to get justice for his clients and any other potential client who were victimized by Diddy, promising to not only sue Diddy, but to go after Diddy's silent accomplices as well.
Cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time, was taken to a audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio, in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was, and then other individuals took turns. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain, where she then went to the hospital.
As you heard for yourself, Busby made it clear that he was coming after Diddy and wasn't stopping at just Diddy. He was going to expose several others who were Diddy's silent accomplices. While months would pass after this conference without any other celebrity being named, behind the scenes, one of those silent accomplices began taking steps to make sure they would never be named. See, not long after Busby announced that he was coming after Diddy and his accomplices, he sent a demand letter to those accomplices asking them to reach out to him in order to settle this lawsuit before it went public. After doing this, one of those silent accomplices started fighting back against Busby, trying to do anything in their power to prevent their names from being brought up in the lawsuit. In November, a month after Tony made it clear he was coming after Diddy's accomplices, one of those accomplices sued Tony Busby, claiming that he was trying to extort them for money. This lawsuit was filed by a male high-profile celebrity who kept their names hidden, suing as a John Doe. The lawsuit requested that Tony and his client's case be thrown out because he believed Tony was just trying to extort him for money for his two different clients. Busby responded to this lawsuit, calling it a frivolous lawsuit that was filed against his firm in an aggressive attempt to silence him and his clients. Busby responded with this statement: "We won't allow the powerful and their high-dollar lawyers to intimidate or silence SA survivors. It has been reported that a lawsuit has been filed against my firm claiming extortion. The lawyers that filed it also immediately called TMZ in an apparent effort to silence those who allege SA. Here's the deal. The case filed against my firm is not only without legal merit, it is laughable. Here is why. On behalf of two clients who allege SA, we sent a standard demand letter to a New York lawyer that we knew represents an alleged perpetrator and potential defendant. The letters were sent seeking a confidential mediation in lieu of filing a lawsuit. No amount of money was included in the demand letters. No threats were made. The demand letters sent are no different than the ones routinely sent by lawyers across the country in all types of cases. It is obvious that the frivolous lawsuits filed against my firm is an aggressive attempt to intimidate or silence me and ultimately my clients. That effort is a gross miscalculation. I am a U.S. Marine. I won't be silenced or intimidated. Neither will my clients. Since our professional efforts at resolution obviously have failed, we will instead disclose the demand letters we sent at the time we filed suit. Abuse of the legal system unfortunately runs rampant. The lawsuit filed against my firm is a prime example of that. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I have confidence that with full public disclosure, all of this will sort itself out. According to Busby, his demand letter was standard practice done by all lawyers representing a client. The demand letter was an attempt at seeing if the person wanted to settle before things went public. This is done by all lawyers, and this is not out of the ordinary. But what the high-profile celebrity did wasn't considered a normal response to a demand letter. This high-profile celebrity tried to bully Busby by suing him in hopes of getting him in trouble with the courts and silencing him. Like Busby said, this didn't work. Instead, it made him go to war. After Busby responded like this, things only got stranger, as it appears the high-profile celebrity was trying to use any method to silence Busby. This is when Busby alleges that this high-profile celebrity hired a private investigator to investigate Busby in order to find any dirt on him that could be used against him. Tony announced this on social media, posting a picture of the founder of this private investigator agency, claiming that this private investigator was contacting his former employees, asking them if Busby mistreated them while they were working together. Busby wrote this on the caption of this post. This person from a New York private investigation firm is calling former employees of the Busby law firm trying to get information on any negative experience they might have had while in our employ. Why doesn't she just call me? Damn, I have a lot to say. I've never had a situation where I send a basic mediation demand and we've gotten this type of response. Wonder what they're hiding or what they're afraid of being exposed. Why not call her and ask? Here's her website. Tell her I said hello. Once again, we won't be bullied or intimidated, and our clients won't be silenced. Sunlight is the best and most powerful disinfectant there is. Justice limps along, but it gets there eventually. According to Busby, because he sent a demand letter to this high-profile celebrity, John Doe hired private investigators and sicked it on him in order to gather any dirt. While all of this was taking place, the John Doe's identity was still hidden. No one knew who this high-profile celebrity was that was suing Busby and trying to silence him. That was until just last Sunday. All of these shady tactics only made Busby more resilient to these threats, and it all led up to what happened on December 8th. On December 8th, the world finally found out who this high-profile John Doe was trying to silence Busby, and it was no other than Jay-Z. On December 8th, Busby refiled a past lawsuit he had made against Diddy to add Jay-Z as Diddy's accomplice. In the lawsuit, he alleged that both Diddy and Jay-Z R-worded a 13-year-old at a VMAs after party back in the 2000s. Busby had officially taken it there and showed Jay-Z that he wasn't going to be intimidated just like he promised. This forced Jay-Z to come out the shadows and finally respond publicly to the allegations. Jay-Z responded by denying these allegations in this long statement. My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you a red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who one I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their age. It's unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out the projects of Brooklyn. We don't play these type of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. Look forward to showing you just how different I am. With this response, Jay-Z confirmed he was the John Doe suing Busby trying to silence him. He also filed another order in the courts in hopes of forcing the Jane Doe suing him to reveal her identity, and if not, to dismiss the case entirely. After Jay-Z did this, Busby responded with his own statement. Regarding the Jay-Z case and his efforts to silence my clients, Mr. Carter previously denied being the one who sued me and my firm. He filed this frivolous case under a pseudonym. What he fails to say in his recent statement is my firm sent his lawyer a demand letter on behalf of an alleged victim, and that victim never demanded a penny from him. Instead, she only sought a confidential mediation. Since I sent the letter on her behalf, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but has tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff. His conduct has had the opposite impact. She is emboldened. I'm very proud of her resolve. As far as the allegations in the complaint filed, we will let the filing speak for itself and will litigate the facts in court, not in the media. Busby claimed in this statement that Jay-Z was allegedly only suing him in hopes of silencing him and the victim he was representing. But he stated that it only had the opposite effect, as the victim only became braver and asked Busby to name Jay-Z in the lawsuit. Busby then told the public that Jay-Z was allegedly actively trying to bully and silence him through several aggressive tactics. Posting this statement on his Instagram. Recognize this guy? This is a picture of the weapons platoon commander, Alpha Company 1st Battalion, 4th Marines from our old Western Pacific cruise book. Despite a coordinated and aggressive effort that has included harassing my kids, contacting my clients and former clients to encourage them to sue me, contacting my colleagues or former employees, asking if I abused them, showing up at my current employees' homes to harass them, filing frivolous cases against me and my law firm, defaming me with outrageous assertions to anyone who would listen, and having mysterious people follow me and my family. I'm still that guy. I won't be bullied or intimidated. People will see through these efforts to discredit me and my clients, and the truth will be revealed. I also won't allow anyone to scare my clients into silence. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I am quite certain the sun is coming. Busby went on further exposing Jay-Z's shady tactics when he posted a photo of the private investigator Jay-Z allegedly hired and sent to his former clients. Busby posted this photo of the two private investigators, calling him out for harassing his former clients and trying to get dirt on him. He stated this on the caption of this post: investigators from New York have contacted many of our law firm's current and former clients. These investigators aren't very smart. What they didn't anticipate was one of the clients decided to record the conversation. It's shocking and illegal. Here's a portion taken directly from the transcript of the contact. Investigator: in a couple of days or maybe by next week, anyone Googling Busby and his company, his practices, are going into litigation. What we're trying to do, we're trying to put this thing together for the company that we're working for. We could get you paid. You can get money right now, you know? We gave this kid $1,000 to start yesterday just to get him on the right path. At the end of the day, this is going to go through the courts. Busby is getting sued. These guys are on tape offering to pay my firm's clients to sue our law firm. That's a crime. According to Busby, these private investigators who he had exposed earlier were allegedly working for Jay-Z to dig up evidence to use against him in the lawsuit, offering to pay his former clients to come and expose him. What's interesting is that the people noticed something off about these private investigators. One of them seemed to be the same private investigator who was running around going to influencers' homes, trying to pay them to stop talking negatively about Diddy. This private investigator was called out by 2 separate YouTubers and influencers who were visited by them.
So you guys are private investigators who have come to my private home asking about influencers? This is very uncomfortable, you guys.
I don't know why. I'll explain.
No, you're at my home.
Okay, so you don't want to talk to us then?
Have I broken some law?
Absolutely not.
And you have the thin blue. This is frightening. I think. Can you guys step away from my home?
We're in a public street, so the answer is no. But I'm not. Listen, we're not trying to give you a hard time.
Why are you here? What do you mean? You're showing up at my house.
We're very nice and respectful, and we will be. I just have 2 quick questions for you, and if you want to be interested in it, great. If not, I'll have a nice day. We're not.
What is this? This is odd.
So
you have to admit this is very weird.
It always is, and people always ask us the same questions. I'm happy to explain it to you.
What?
Very simply, we were just hired to speak to a few people that do, have a lot of followers, stuff like that, on different platforms.
What is this about the Diddy stuff I report on?
Somewhat, yes. Not necessarily Diddy stuff, but people are involved in just stuff like that. So basically, a very simple question is are you paid to influence that's stories like that in any direction?
No, not at all.
That's all we wanted to know. Because if the company is, they're looking into people who are.
Are you guys gonna pay me for this visit? Like, this is frightening.
So,
like, I'm super. You have to admit, if I came to your house, and like, I thought this was a joke. I thought I have a friend coming over business right now. Like,
that's one of the reasons why we're here, and that's the question that we're asking. If someone contacts you, say in the last 6 months, and is paying you to influence in a certain way,
no.
Either one way.
Is it illegal if somebody would have?
So the answer is no.
Okay, I wish somebody would have. I'd love to be making real money off this.
Let me talk for 2 seconds. I'll explain to me. Try to make you feel better.
I mean, this is terrifying.
Very simply, if somebody was paying you,
right?
The company we work for, just asking that question,
right?
If somebody was, they would just be willing to possibly offer you money to know who and see what's going on.
While people originally thought these investigators were working for Diddy, it now turns out that they might have been working for Jay-Z the entire time. As Busby basically confirmed that, it's clear that Jay-Z is trying to have all this go away and not face any consequences. While he tried to stop the lawsuit from coming out and failed, he is now trying to end Tony Busby's career. This puts Tony in a very dangerous position, but like Busby made clear, he is not stepping down as it turned personal. One thing I found out while investigating this story is that the current Jane Doe lawsuit isn't the only person who's planning on suing Jay-Z, as allegedly there are other victims ready to name Jay as well. This was actually reported by DJ Academics, who claims there are several victims coming for Jay-Z just like Diddy.
I think this is why Jay-Z, so from what I heard, there's been like 4 or 5 like chicks claiming Jay-Z did whatever. They're like, yo, pay us money, right? And I do think if it was one that maybe he was like, you know what, I don't want her to come out and start doing interviews, let me just pay this one girl off, maybe he would. He's like, yo, I'm not admitting to nothing, I'm just gonna pay you off because you feel hurt. But there's a lot of them. And what happens is when you're Jay-Z status, 4 or 5 bring 40 to 50 more. You got a hotline for Diddy. Imagine the Jigga hotline. It ain't gonna be 1-900 hustler, it's gonna be 1-900 payday.
As you heard for yourself, Ac claims that there's several victims going after Jay-Z. I believe Academics because Busby basically admitted this when he said he sent a demand letter on behalf of 2 different clients. This means another lawsuit is coming with a whole nother set of allegations. This could quickly turn into another Diddy situation with the floodgates opening up. In my opinion, I believe Jay-Z might be guilty, and we can tell by his actions. Not only does he have a history of alleged relationships of underage people, but Jay-Z didn't just deny the allegations like Diddy and others did. Jay-Z literally tried to stop the allegations from coming out and is trying to bully the lawyer to stop him from investigating him. This this makes him look guiltier than Diddy ever did. Some people think the Jane Doe is lying and making stories up. People keep saying that anyone can file a lawsuit. The only thing is, that's not true at all. First of all, the lawsuit has to have enough evidence and be provable for any lawyer to even want to pick it up. If anyone can file a lawsuit without any proof, there would be millions of lawsuits made against people like Diddy and Jay-Z. There isn't, because it's not that easy. You have to have enough evidence to convince a lawyer to want to pick up your case. There's also a risk for filing frivolous lawsuits, for the lawyer and the one filing the lawsuit. Also, think about it. If it was a frivolous lawsuit, Jay-Z would have just responded by saying it's a frivolous lawsuit and took it to court. But him trying to prevent this case from ever making it to court speaks for itself. And I believe he's doing this because he knows he's hiding something. In my opinion, Jay-Z's actions clearly prove that he might be guilty. Right now, though, we're witnessing a battle between a brave lawyer and his clients versus the elite of the music industry. I'm here to see how this all goes down. Well, I'm in this one here.
Go figure. Follow me.